It's Friday night, y'all. You know what that means. It's time for the show. But I say it's time for the percolator, right? Anyway, hope everybody's well. It's Friday night. It is the 3rd of December, 2021. This is the last time you're going to see it, December 3rd in 2021, just in case you never knew this. But this is the new norm 2.0 with your boy Mo Delgado, the sexiest man still and forever will be in this chair at this moment in time, the sexiest man there is. So we welcome you to the show, and I'm hoping everyone is well. This week we have some conversations a little bit about some things that are important. We want to make sure that everything is lined up and ready because a discussion needs to be had about Omicron. Omicron is something that seems to be snuck up on us, and we have to make sure that we know how to deal with this thing. So I did a little bit of research on it, and I'm trying to locate where it could be. But I did some research a little bit earlier today to find out some of the differences. I don't know where it is. Anyway, it's important that we know what's going on and the differences that were going on facing with Omicron. And that's really important that we're all familiar with what's going on. So I want to touch up on it as soon as I can get it up, and I'll give y'all a quick view. Did a PowerPoint, created a PowerPoint so everybody can look at it. And let me go there. Again, working on this whole thing. So I want to put it up in a second because it's extremely important for us to see exactly how it needs to be done. Check out everything for me. Okay, let's share the screen so you guys can see it. You folks can see the screen real quick. So, make it a little bit a part of this. Anyway. I had it working before. I'm trying to figure out what happened. Yeah. I'm sorry, y'all. Should have been ready. Thought I did a good job. I don't know what happened. Anyway. So there's important information that I want to make sure that everybody's aware of. So as we move forward, Why is it all over my screen? That's my question. I don't know why. I'm gonna get it, y'all. I'm gonna get it, y'all, because I'm trying to figure out why multiple screens didn't pop up. Microsoft tries to take over the world. I swear to goodness. And every time I try to make it work a certain way, it just ain't working the way it should. Okay. Okay. All right. So as we're saying right now, the Omicron seems you got to go through a process, and the process is just a little bit more. There we go. Working. Okay. As we're moving forward, um, so I wanted to come across and first give some information as far as Omicron and the vaccines itself. I'll put a little PowerPoint so we can discuss some of the things and its importance. So I hope you guys can see this because as we move on, here we go. Here's the slideshow. And let's do it, y'all. Why is it not playing? All right, so you see it. It's basically a slide itself. Second one is the glossary. The discussions had a lot of time talk about the mutation, how it changes from one source, one variant to another. It says first, that a single change in the virus's genome. Mutations happen frequently, but only sometimes change the characteristics of the virus. So sometimes you'll see some change. You'll see the variation, like we heard Delta, now it's Omicron. It might be the smallest change, but it was just enough change to need for it to be identified different. The lineage has to do with where it came from, how it derived, some of the origins of it. So it's a group closely related to viruses within a common ancestor, like SARS. SARS, all these are SARS. COVID-19 is SARS, and there's a different grouping. So the lineage itself, it's all COVID-19. And the variant, again, is the breakdown. It's a viral genome genetic code that may contain one or more mutations, in some cases a group variant. Let me take this banner off, y'all. I'm sorry. I'll put it back on in a second. Anyway, a group of variants with similar genetic changes, such as lineage or group of lineage, may be designated by public health. Okay, that's the glossary itself, just to give you a basis when the discussion comes around. Now, the Delta variant. We saw the Delta variant. It was identified by the World Health Organization, WHO. The Pango lineage and the origins itself. It tells you the breakdown, and these are scientific terms identifiable at the World Health Organization and through CDC. This information that I put together came from CDC. So the next strain clade, its external icon, and you'll see numbers there. First identified in India, the Delta virus. The attributes: increased transmissibility. Nearly all lineage designated as Delta are susceptible to emergency use authorization. Monoclonal antibody treatments. Those are the treatments that we see right now that turned out Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson. AY1, AY2 lineages are not susceptible to some monoclonal antibody treatments. Those are still in discussion, so we're trying to figure that out. Reduction, or is it reduction? I can't see because I have it this. The post neutralization by post-vaccination sera. Okay. Now, the Omicron itself. All right. All these identifiers that we talked about from earlier in the last slide, but this one was identified first time in South Africa. Attributes: potential increased transmissibility. As a potential for reduction in neutralization by some EUA monoclonal antibody treatments. That's just saying it may not be treatable. These vaccines that we're taking right now may not be affected. You may not be protected from this variant. And again, it says potentially it can't be neutralized. There's a potential for it not to be neutralized by post-vaccination sera. So that's the things that have to be really concerned about. Now, these are the vaccine data that we basically just understood. Pfizer itself is a BioNTech. BioNTech is a European network. that got together with Pfizer to put this together. They also got together with AstraZeneca in Europe. This virus, or the vaccine itself, is accessible to people 5 years old and older. All right, so children are, when you're getting vaccines for children, this is the vaccine that you'll be getting for the children. It takes 2 doses, given 3 weeks, 21 days apart. The booster dose, everyone ages 18 years and old, is eligible at least 6 months after the last dose in the primary series. Any of the 3 COVID-19 vaccines can be used for the booster dose. Now, Moderna is only accessible to people 18 years and older. The primary series is 2 doses given 4 weeks in between, so 21 days. The booster dose, everyone ages 18 years old and older, is eligible at least 6 months after the first dose in their primary series. Any of the 3 COVID-19 vaccines can be used for the booster dose. When fully vaccinated, 2 weeks after the second dose. Now, Johnson & Johnson, this is the one that's haven't had the best reputation in the world, but ages 18 years old and above is only 1 dose. The booster dose, at least 2 months after the first dose for all people 18 years old and older. Any of the 3 COVID-19 vaccines can be used for the booster dose when fully vaccinated. Okay? So that's the vaccine data. And again, information provided through the CDC for this website. We recommend, this is only just for information's sake. We don't necessarily give it to you as an exact. This data has been received through the CDC, so we encourage you to look further to ensure that you get the best information. CDC and the World Health Organization. Now, one of the truths that we are seeing at this point in time is that you have certain areas in the United States have now seen Omicron has landed abroad on our lands. New Jersey being one of them. New Jersey has its first, as they say, one person in New Jersey, and I'm trying to remember the location this person was supposed to be. It was a woman who went from Nigeria to Georgia and arrived here in New Jersey. And again, oddly enough, if you look on the CDC website, there is reference to this flight from Nigeria, or this flight from Africa. It's referenced directly in the information as in the source of how it got over to the United States. Now, apparently this flight that they're talking about seemed to have a couple optional flights also accompanying into the United States, and they landed in different areas, Georgia being one of them. So just pay attention to it. It's highly, it's more transmissible than the other ones, a lot more rapidly transmissible. And all of you who are vaccinated may not be protected from this Omicron. So we have to be very, very conscious that whatever we do, wherever we go, we could be susceptible to this Omicron. It's not to say that it's more dangerous, thank God. However, still early on age. As this virus continues to go throughout the world, we are seeing at the same time science accompanying this virus. What I mean by as popular or seems to be thought by many, including myself, that this was a man-made virus. There's a component part of this virus that learns quickly. And when it learns, it mutates. And when it mutates, it tries to affect others. So as it grows and spreads throughout the world, it's learning how to attack more and more human beings. So be very conscious of how you move. Continue to be protective for yourself and one another, and making sure that you pay attention to what you do, where you do, and how you affect others. So, and again, we respect everyone's right to be vaccinated and or not to be vaccinated. It is your choice. But ultimately, how you impact others should weigh on your decision, should really weigh on your decision whether you're going to be vaccinated or not, because it's extremely important that you don't harm anyone in your decisions. So it's things that you have to really pay attention to, y'all. And the Omicron is being pushed out by a lot of individuals about its rapid movement, and we are paying attention to it. So this is not pushing death, doom and gloom upon people. This is more so just to keep you aware. It's extremely important that we need to be aware how things are. Now let's talk a little bit about some other things that are in the news right now. One of the factors that we're talking about, we just saw the very important Rittenhouse decision that is still weighing on the minds of many Americans, and we have to really be conscious of the law. The laws aren't the same in every state. In every state, there's some quirky differences that identify liberties and loopholes that are available for those who know the justice system, and or specific items in it that makes it more difficult for people to break laws and get away with it in some of these states. So we have to be very conscious. Although Rittenhouse, it wasn't as much of a favorable decision for the general populace paying attention to this. It's a learning, a point for us to learn more of the justice system and pay attention as we move forward. Remember, one of the most important factors that can impact the law is how we vote, and ensuring that who we vote for sides with us morally, and we can motivate the laws to change so it's more favorable into a more balanced society. So let's see how we do moving forward, because elections happen just about every year, and in some instances for every damn reason, every place in the world. One of the things that we have to really pay attention is those states that have judges that are elected judges, to me, in my opinion, can be considered one of the most dangerous elements in the justice system, because a lot of the times when you're talking about elections and people who are to be elected, their opinions are the deciding factors of who supports you. Your opinions and how you act really can pick up steam for you, or it can put a blockade in front of you towards getting elected. So it's extremely important for these individuals to get elected, and in the process of getting elected, a lot of times it's about raising money. So the person with the most money sometimes gets the most influence. And when it comes to justice, the fact that judges and prosecutors are elected, it makes it very curious, for lack of other terms. It's really suspicious how that whole process affords people, average people, the justice that we believe in, or at least would love to believe in. So just pay attention as you move forward as far as the justice system is concerned. It's really important that we pay attention and move forward. Another factor that we have right now that we have to pay attention to, I want to try to go back to the points. Matter of fact, I'll bring it up. Let me see how I can bring this up. Anyway, in the news, one of the things that seems to be developing right now is the fear of Russia interactions with the Ukraine and how America is being involved and impacted. Ukraine is a nation that is adjacent to Russia at this point in time, which was part of the USSR. At one point in time, the nation that used to be USSR. So the Ukraine itself is positioned right next to Russia. So Putin, in this whole scope of things, Ukraine is being considered to be made part of NATO, the North American North American Treaty. No, I'm sorry. I need to remember what the hell NATO stands for. Anyway, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. I think it's no, that doesn't sound right. Anyway, I'll bring it up. See, my old age and the whole nine. NATO is considering making Ukraine a member, and it's extremely important that NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Okay, I was right around that area. Anyway, so NATO itself is considering making Ukraine a member. And this whole concept of NATO was Cold World affiliated. In the Cold World War, Russia versus United States or Eastern versus Western blocs, the whole discussion was who was developing the bigger teams. And the North Atlantic Treaty Organization is comprised of different nations that come together just for protection's sake and also negotiate sometimes for business. You'll see some discussion having to do with energy, green energy. Sometimes the nations of OPEC come together underneath NATO to have more discussions, and the World Trade Organization sometimes come through NATO to have discussions here and there. So the North Atlantic Treaty Organization creates this umbrella of protection. And when you have the deciding nations come together to decide whether some military action is taking place, it's when one makes move, all of them follow, and they all make a move towards whoever the target is for this. So it's very, very important that we understand how Ukraine itself is playing a very critical role, and Putin doesn't want the United States to have any more influence over the area as he controls Russia in the way he was at one point in time. He wasn't the president, but he still had control over the nation, and now he's the president again. So being an oligarch the way he is, he wants to continue to control that part of the nation. However, you have China on one side, you have India, and you have Korea. And we have regimes of people and regimes of individuals, regimes that are led by individuals that are very egotistical, extremely egotistical. For instance, in Korea, or outside of Korea, actually, in the Orient, near the Philippines and the Malaysian area of the sea itself, there's been ships, American ships, sent out to that part of the world because there's been military bases in and out of the Orient and that side, but there's military ships over there, and it seems to be a test of forces. And North Korea has basically threatened the United States if they continue to move forward or continuous moving into the Orient the way they are, they will take it as an act of war and move forward. So it's extremely dangerous because North Korea going into the Orient, trying to fight, they're going to fight dirty. It's going to implicate India, which has nuclear weapons. They'll have to defend themselves, which can enable Putin in Russia to create another war. So it'll be starting a fire in the backyard of our neighbors or unruly neighbors that we don't want to necessarily get them involved in. So these are the two factors in that part of the nation is weighing heavy on the United States right now when it comes to military. And one thing that we know for certain is that when President Trump was in office, he alienated a major portion of that part of the world after many years of diplomacy that was being implemented and camaraderie that was developed. And now that Biden is in office, he's trying to repair this, but at the same point in time, showing some level of force or showing some strength to that part of the nation. So it's testy. So we have to be very conscious of how this can move forward and how can it impact the nation. So pay attention to that. It's extremely important. As we move forward, just remember the way that part of the world and things, it's very, very delicate because how we think in America is not necessarily the way people think in other parts of the world. You have cultural differences, you have ideologies that are different, and ultimately the game of war and what we see and how we view life and how we treasure life, how we value life and the things that we value are distinctively different in certain different realms of life. However, there are similarities, but in those similarities, we don't know if they're going to be the impetus that keeps the cool in the world. So we just have to make sure that we pay attention and always pay attention to Putin because he's in the background. Maybe the general population may not be fully aware, but Putin has enabled an army of his own army, his military movement towards the Arctic Circle. And he has a front at the Arctic Circle at that point in time facing America. Oddly enough, the way the Arctic Circle is, it's not far from one another. So you can shoot a missile and it's like a block away and you're hitting another country. So they're basically pushing as far as they can on one side there. So you have a lot of activity on one side, you have a lot of distractions on another, and then ultimately the American population could be placed at risk. So be very cautious as we move forward. You never know how it goes. You never know how it's going to be. But the way we see things is there's going to be more activity as we move forward. So just pay attention. Be very cautious, and let's make sure that we keep our men and women in the military in our thoughts and prayers. Other factors in the news right now. I can't. I should have put my list together. Anyway, let me see if I can put up the rest of the stuff. I had put it up earlier so people can see. Let me put it up in the background real quick. I'm going to take myself off shortly so I can see the rest of the list. Let's talk Barbados. Barbados, the island nation in the Caribbean, well, actually off the coast of America, successfully severed its entanglements, official connection with the United Kingdom recently. So they successfully gained their independence and they've declared they're an independent nation now. And so we support and celebrate Barbados for their doing so. There's so many other nations that still have colonization still dwindling over the heads of all the residents of these countries. And sadly enough, I have yet to see one nation, one island nation in the world colonized by another do well because of the colonization. So as we move forward, we're hoping to see more and more nations gain their independence and move forward. Okay, Adrian, I see you, bro. Let me see if we tag you in. Shall I call you grandma? Okay. So as we move forward, also in just so y'all know, Barbados has honored Rihanna. Riri has been honored by Barbados as being the Woman of the Year of that nation and has declared an honorable, I forget exactly, I don't know if it's magistrate, but there was some really profound title that was really awesome. And I was like, yeah, the national treasure. I know it's a national treasure, but we definitely celebrate her, Rihanna. Also, this is how amazing, this is how it's really cool. This young lady became a billionaire. This young lady is also identified in the top 100 Billboard list of all times, top 100. And she's even top Beyonce. Who would imagine that? So, big cheers for Riri for doing what she did fabulously. My brother, Adrian, how are you, man?
What's going on, Mo? What's going on, bro?
How you doing this evening, man?
Hey, not bad yourself.
That's good. I'm maintaining, man, maintaining. Trying to put all my stuff together. Got all fancy early, got all this stuff together. Slides in the whole nine. Just last minute, I forgot how to work them.
Hey, that's all the bells and whistles, man. I'm telling you, they have new toys. You have to learn all of the bells and whistles. It's like buying a new sports car. You have to know all the bells and whistles. A lot of people buy new cars, and the only thing they know to do is to turn it on. That's about it.
God knows better.
Some wipers.
God knows better as far as sports cars or something like this. He knows sports cars because I like speed. The only thing I need to know is where's the gas and where's the brake. That's it. So the rest of it, I can figure
what we need. You know what I'm saying?
Paddle shifting, not a problem. I can figure all that out. I just want to go. That's so bad. How was your week, man?
Excellent, man. Yours?
That's good.
I hear you giving everybody the rundown, huh?
Yeah, trying to give them understanding because as we go on, well, I'm talking specifically about Omicron. There's still so much unfamiliarity as far as the Omicron is concerned. So I had to look into it a little bit further, and it gave me a perspective that I was like, this, they making it sound like it's so threatening and it's so scary, and it's a shame. It's the national doom and gloom agenda.
Yeah, it's more contagious than COVID-19,
Right.
which is also part of a flu virus anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this week, a few days ago, I went ahead and got my booster shot because
Okay.
I've been 6 months out. You know, so they recommend a lot of people to do that. You know,
Yeah.
but also we're heading into the cold and flu season, so
Very
you
much.
also have to be alert as far as that's concerned.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, when you start getting older, it's just a matter of maintaining. You know, that's it. You know, when you're young, you can be as reckless as possible. You could drink as many beers and chug. You could do whatever. But when you get older, it's just a matter of maintaining and sustaining yourself. You know,
Absolutely.
sustainability.
Boy, do I know that. As my son is listening in the background,
You can do all the crazy stuff when you're young, but when you get older, man, it comes back at you.
exactly, man. We talk about this all the time, my son and I. How when you're younger, you're able to do stuff and eat a whole
Oh
bunch of stuff.
yeah,
And see the effects.
the
It's
bones
just
will heal very quickly.
you notice that,
But
right?
later
You
on,
break up.
you pay for it.
Exactly. Now it's like you accidentally bump into a wall and you're still feeling it a month later.
Exactly. You know, I took the booster shot and I'm like, damn, my arm still sore the following day. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
I know I'm not a wimpy guy, you know? It's,
Right.
it's
Exactly.
one of
It's
those
just
things.
your body reacts to it a little differently these days than it was
Exactly.
in the past. That's all.
Exactly.
But I wanted to make sure that I got as much information. So I went on the World Health Organization website and I went on to the CDC, and they were basically alluding to the same information as CDC.
Yeah.
Although I found it kind of interesting, and I was saying this a little earlier, how they're trying to. I'm not going to say trying to. They are distinctively fingering the nation of South Africa, but they're talking about Nigeria. Like there's a lot of discussion about South Africa being the origins of the Omicron, but Nigeria being the location of where these planes are coming from. But they're not talking about Nigeria. So we know in that part of the nation, information doesn't necessarily spread as easily as, say, in our part of the world. It's not as important in Europe. However, they do have advanced education resources and a vast medical resources over there. You got billionaires over there also. I just think it's just
Well, yeah.
I think it's just a little bit easier to hide information over there because of so many colonizers that are still there.
Yeah, you're right. You know, and the thing about it is because with Africa and South Africa, a lot of the countries over there, they now saying that it's a form of racism
Mm-hmm.
by the first world nations, because they're like, look, when COVID came down, it was China. China hit a whole lot of stuff and a whole lot of nonsense, and now they're accusing Africa of doing the same thing now. And the prime ministers of those countries are saying, hey, this is blatant racism.
Yep.
This is nonsense.
Yep.
Because they're like, when it first landed, we told you guys about a week later, that's when we discovered it. We weren't trying to hide anything.
Right.
So it's just one of those things, man. And like there's a lot of people from Nigeria, highly educated people.
Mm-hmm.
When Donald Trump, passed a ban on a lot of those, African nations about a year ago or so, a lot of the educated people from Nigeria is very educated. As a matter of fact, they're so educated. Nigeria was nominated a Nobel Peace Prize for computer hacking. They were so freaking good at the damn thing.
It's true. It's true. We talked about it. They're the number one source of hacking companies, people who work in hack and steal and all that stuff.
Yeah, from Nigeria is smart as hell. They mastered this thing called a computer. We may have invented it here in the United States, but they mastered it over there. Mm-hmm. They know how to steal your stuff when they're ready.
Exactly. Exactly. I can't eat while I'm on the show. My family just walked in from work, right? And they got all kinds of pizzas and subs in the background. I'm smelling onions in there. I'm like, what the hell y'all doing?
Take that to the next room.
I had to take my wife off the screen because she's smacking her subs on one side. My son is eating pizza on the other side. I'm like, yo, bunch of scrubs.
They had all day to bring that through. You know what I'm saying? But when you get off of this show, you're gonna be hungry as hell anyway. Because last week you was talking about going to get some gizzards.
I did. No, actually, I didn't go the last week. I actually went the next day or two after. I did. So, but I got some. It's all good. That's continuing my money in the black community. You know how it is.
All right, it's going circulation.
Yeah, exactly. So. But in talking about Nigeria, there's a lot of more discussion about how Nigeria's economy is actually growing. There's not much emphasis on this part of the world how the economies are all over the world. We know that Brazil has the second largest economy in the world. One is because of how the economy it's so interwoven internationally. That's why they're so huge. One of the largest world food companies is out of Brazil. They own Budweiser, they own Kellogg's, I think they own Nestle. A lot of the world foods are owned in Brazil. So you have a lot of companies like that. But Nigeria, oddly enough, is the home base of oil, natural minerals, and diamonds, gold, boron. I think uranium. There's a lot of natural resources out of Nigeria. In addition to, Nigeria has they have rebuilt their fishing industry. So they have the second largest fishing industry on the continent of Africa, second to Egypt. Egypt had to do something because of the way the land was basically taking over and how the sands. It's amazing how the economies are developing on that side. And I still say the same thing. If you have an opportunity and if you can afford it to go back to the motherland to see, you'll actually see how it's blossoming. And there's so much offered on the continent of Africa. And there's so much welcoming from us or to us from the folks in Africa. And, it's an opportunity for us. And I intend to take on that challenge when I can.
Yeah, exactly. When you can, because like it says, with these variants and viruses that's floating around and shutting down countries and damaging economies and the whole 9 yards. Where the world is in a shithole right about now. It's to say the least. It's a very turbulent situation.
But another telling sign is when it comes to this. When you mention this, it brought me back to a discussion. It was a TED talk about world economy and how it's impacted by the health organizations. And one of the factors I think Trump was trying to cut strings with the World Health Organization is because how it's impacted a lot of business. And whether it's on the premise of stuff that's factual or it's subjective, things that people said fear what the potential was. There wasn't a whole lot of data, but there was so much of a scare for it. But the World Health Organization has a tendency of sometimes stifling business. And I say this because Canada, our sister nation right next door, has open borders all over. They recently reopened their borders. And because they have open borders in nations that we've closed them, they have access to it. Remember, Canada has an advanced medical system. They have great medical coverage, public health. They have great advances in medicine there. So they're equivalent to, if not better than, the United States in many ways.
Well, the United States is last when it comes down to as far as healthcare is concerned. Even Europe has a better health system like British.
Yeah.
Than we do over here.
Yep. So with that being said, and considering the situation now when we're talking about what the national news is saying about the borders are closing, like no one can travel from the United States or from Africa coming back to the United States. Is that a business decision or is it truly a health decision? And if it is a health decision, why isn't Canada closing the doors?
Well, this is a large game of chess. You have to remember that.
Oh, yeah.
Every country that actually shut down, and now is reopening, a lot of them are shutting down again. You see what I'm saying? Because Japan just closed its borders until the end of December because they're like, look, with this new variant, we can't take a chance. So they closed their entire border until the end of December. You see, and like it says, and Israel is looking at doing probably the same thing also.
Mm-hmm.
They're closing their borders because they're like, we need to get a hold of what's happening here. Mm-hmm. And all of our people here, we can't have people coming in and infecting our people that's already here when we're trying to get the current virus under control.
Yeah.
So now you have another variant coming in. When the United States government says, we believe that, this thing is on its way to the United States, that means it's here already. That's translation. It's here. So this is what's happening. So it's a game of chess that's going on around the world with different economies. Yeah. And a lot of companies and a lot of countries are going to be damaged. United States right now with the shipping situation, even though I looked at the news today and about 210,000 jobs have been created, but still, how many people have actually passed away from COVID?
But you
How
you
many
know what the
people
odd
are
thing is?
not going to
Speaking
take the
about that,
vaccine?
go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, how many people have passed away from COVID? How many people are not going to take the vaccine? How many people have retired? That's and how many people don't want to even take the chance of getting any viruses or whatever the case may be by going back into an unhealthy situation that they've been in for many years.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to make a big difference in many economies, especially in the United States.
Yeah.
But at the same time, United States is like saying, "Hey, we don't want any foreigners into this country." Remember with Trump and the border and closing the border and sending all the Haitians back. But they
Right.
have to remember, after World War II, the same thing happened in Germany. When Germany was destroyed, the influx of people was substantial to help rebuild Germany to the way it is today. And a
Right.
lot of them were Muslims coming from other countries.
Absolutely.
So all of these people that have passed away and all of these people that are out, the only way that the United States could probably get is to get these people organized, get them vaccinated, do all the right thing, get them Social Security now, and they have to ease them into this economy eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Shipping all of them back is not really the answer to anything.
No.
I mean, they came a long way to be here to experience the American dream, like many of our family members have done so, including mine. I know. So I'm speaking from experience.
Right. Right. Um, I'm trying to remember the point I was trying to say a little earlier when we talked about my wife's in the background trying to give me ideas. If she's flying other ideas, I'm like, oh God. She's trying to help me think of it. I can't. No. 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 She's still having a conversation instead of being in front of the screen. I know. So when you were talking about um, international, the way things have gone and how people are dying wise, um, just the latest discussion about I think it was a summit that was had abroad, and they were talking about the impacts of SARS-CoV-19 and how it's impacted the world. They're saying by March they're expected to have tabulated 1 million people have died by March. So I'm like, that's to sort of project that to be a target time frame and the amount and the pace and when people's dying is something that folks need to really pay attention to.
Very sobering.
Yeah, extremely sobering because 1 million people have passed.
And that's
Um,
yeah, because right now we're at 780,000 and the numbers are going back up again.
mhm. And it's the influx. It's always when there's reasons for people traditionally like to travel to go home or be amongst others or vacationing to larger groups of people. These are the times where there are high risks. Those are the times for people like Christmas and Thanksgiving, especially Thanksgiving. Everyone goes home for Thanksgiving. So we're going to probably see a little bit of spike. God willing, I'm hoping that it isn't as high as we've seen in the past, but I'm already suspecting there will be some sort of spikes because it identifies that people have a tendency of traveling. And then when you're traveling, you're going through places that are not the most sterile environments. And then you're traveling and, unfortunately, you might be carrying something you don't want other than the bag and leftovers from your mom's house, that type of stuff. So we'll see how it goes. I'm just hoping that, again, as the numbers continue to grow, that the pace that it grows on starts to fade off and die. Because the way the advancement of medicine and the way things are going, um, there's so much emphasis on this, which is a good thing, but it's also leaving us wide open for potential attacks of other health risks moving forward.
Now, let me ask you a question. You work in government. Do you trust the government?
Do I trust the government? Hell no.
That's the reason why I ask you that. Now, there's such thing as called the purge. Okay?
You talking about the movie, the concept of purge?
The purge.
Oh Lord, go ahead.
You see what I'm saying now?
Yeah.
Because you just said something that you said it, but then I don't know if you realize the ramification of what you've said. That by March they're actually anticipating about 1 million plus people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now you see the virus. Now, like I said, I have friends of mine in all different forms of medicine, so I hear it day in and day freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, you
Right.
still have right now 780,000 people passed away. Now you're looking at this variant, and now they're saying that this variant is not as deadly, but it's highly contagious at the same time. But it's not really here as of yet, and not too many people have been detected. But then at the last minute, you're going to see an explosion of how many people really were infected by this.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're actually saying, okay, look at 6 months out from when you had the first vaccination. Okay, now you have to go get a freaking booster shot because now you got a variant. So eventually, this variant is going to actually morph into something else, whereas it's going to actually become another variant that you're going to have to probably get another booster shot to try to control what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, now a lot of employees that I'm noticing are actually saying, if in order for you to work for us, you must be vaccinated. So how many people will say, well, hell, I'm not going to do that, And then you have to look at Christmas holiday. We just went through Thanksgiving. Now you're going Christmas, and then you go in New Year's. Bam, bam, bam. 3. We are sociable creatures. We love to socialize. We love to meet and greet each other. Doesn't freaking matter who has what. Sometimes we just don't pay attention to those things until it's too late. You see, but a lot of people are going to get together on Christmas. A lot of people are going to get together and say, hey, look, I didn't know that Raul wasn't vaccinated, but, some stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I mean,
when I went to that events, up in North Jersey with my younger brother, my brother's girlfriend says, Adrian, I had no idea that this person, that person, this person, that person wasn't vaccinated. I was hugging all over these people. You don't know what's going on in that freaking room. So if you're not vaccinated entirely and you walk around without a mask, and not vaccinated, it's like playing freaking Russian roulette with your life because you don't know what's going to jump off.
That's exactly the point. I was just in an event, a family event. It was on Sunday. We had dinner with parts of my family that we don't necessarily see all the time. So it was good to be around them. But in the discussions for us that were sitting around, come to realize quite a lot of them were not vaccinated. Oddly enough.
Yeah, eyebrows will go up.
But you know what? The thing that was kind of getting me was that the fact that some 6 to 8 months prior to, there was a sprout of people that caught COVID-19 out of the family. And I'm like, how the hell? What? What? I'm like, I know. I mean, truth be told, we know that even being vaccinated doesn't stop you from catching COVID-19. It just minimizes the
severity. Correct.
Right. And the symptoms.
There's no cure for COVID, currently.
Exactly.
It's just a cure. There's no cure. It's just, something to keep you out of hospital. That's about it. It's like, it doesn't get rid of your headache, but it manages your headache. You know what I'm saying? That type of deal.
Yeah, exactly. But the more and more we start coming to find out that so many more people are, I guess because the discussion continues and people are becoming more confident and really disclosing that they're not vaccinated, you get to see how those numbers, there's so much of a push from the national agenda to get people vaccinated. You see why. Because there's less people that are vaccinated than you previously thought.
But you have to remember, they were actually giving out trucks, they were giving out money. So when you start giving out all of these gifts to get vaccinated, you actually put more fire, under that freaking, you're stoking the fire even more, because a lot of people say, why would they want to give you more money to get vaccinated unless they want to try to get rid of you?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example, because that's how the human being thinks. They're like, yo, they're trying to get rid of us. Why would they give you? Because that's what they're doing in New York. They'll actually go door to door, and it says everybody that gets vaccinated, we're going to give you $100 and every member of your family. So a lot of people won't even bother to answer the door like Jehovah's Witnesses. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I don't know. But welcome. Well, Laurel was on for a second. I don't know what happened to her. But Laurel was there. And you know what I'm noticing? Our names are not on the thing. Why are they not on there? I'm gonna go in a second and to check the settings why our names are on there.
Whistles.
Yeah. But Laurel, welcome, Laurel. Hi, Laurel.
Hello.
Hello. Anyway, I don't know. Wow, I'm starting to see some things even in the settings. The names don't pop up. Why is that? Let me see why. Maybe no. Usually when we have the commentary, the names will pop up, and I don't see the names on the side of the screen. Notice you normally have that. Okay, I don't know why.
Computer glitch.
It could be a temporary thing because it and the buttons on the settings and stuff that you usually see that it's not there now.
Yeah.
So I don't know if they're changing stuff around. They're like, you know what? You guys been on so much and been the same people. Everybody should know one another anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah,
What are names for? Hell.
right. Exactly. I'm just a number anyway, right? But what were we talking about?
Yeah, the vaccination and the process of how many people have not been vaccinated.
Yeah.
And,
Just
and when you went to that family function, and a lot of us are going to go to more family functions over the holidays,
absolutely.
between, November 25th and December 25th, which is about 30 days. And then from December 25th all the way until January 1st, we're going to be hanging out. We're going to be drinking and the whole nine, eat, drink, and be
Unless
merry because
unless you're Puerto Rican and that continues to February.
it's called an extension.
We start in November and end up in February. So
It's
it
called
might
an
be a
extension.
situation. So Laurel, you there? Is that you clicking? Something's going on. I think it's your device, hon. I hear clicking.
Yeah, so do I.
No audio sound.
Yeah, crickets.
Anyway, so as we're going on, we're definitely going to see more people as they go around. Like I did a wedding the other night, and there were some people that came in from other parts of the state. I made sure I did the wedding in a distance. Like everything I did was within 5 or 6 feet away from everybody anyway.
Okay, let me ask you a question then.
Uh-huh.
The food, was it a buffet setting?
I didn't, you know what? I
What
don't,
did you eat before you go?
yeah, I don't eat. When I'm officiating a wedding, I don't eat there. I barely ever drink anything and I don't eat anything when I
Okay.
officiate a wedding. I usually just make sure the paperwork is taken care of. I do the process. I wish them well. I say a prayer or two. Then I take the all the mementos that need to be had, like the rings and so on and so forth for the broom. And then we do the procedure. And then once it gets done, I shortly make my exit out of the building.
Stage right, huh?
Yeah, because I don't stay around. I don't stay around because it just doesn't. I'm there to do a service. So as a service, I just make sure that I do the best I can as a service.
Okay.
I don't stay around.
Okay.
I've been to one or two weddings here and there where people have made it, and it's like a house party in that joint when people act up and drink up and the whole lot.
Mhm.
And I'm not comfortable. I'm,
Yep.
I'm not comfortable
I've
anymore.
seen a few of those, and some of them went sideways.
Yeah. You know what I noticed that term that you just said seems to be the hot term this year, going sideways.
Yeah.
I always notice hot terms when people start using terms like I had made my wife aware about when the overuse of the term at the end of the day. I can't stand that term because it was used consistently over and over again. Here we go. She's on now. Holla, Ralph.
Hi, I was having technical difficulties.
Yes.
Oh,
Sound like you were
welcome.
Good evening.
You all right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
how are you,
what's going
dear?
on, young lady?
I gotta get ready for work, so I gotta turn this camera off. But
Oh,
just wanted to pop in and say hello. It's Friday night, and all that jazz.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. How you feeling?
I'm tired. Ain't nothing changed.
Maybe it was those pancakes you were eating. That's what it was.
Yeah, they were this morning. I was feeling kind of pancakey this morning, so
She's
Uh-huh.
tired of posting food on Facebook. That's what she's tired of.
Uh-huh.
I can never get tired of that. There,
Sometimes she posts these really nice looking things, and other times it's quick fast food. I'm like, okay. She's sharing every bit of your diet with us. Not a problem. Thank you. Okay, cool. But you've been all right? How was Thanksgiving?
I worked.
Okay. There has to be some time within that week where you broke bread with your family and everything, right?
Oh, I went and picked up a plate on my way to work.
Oh, picked up a plate. Okay.
On my way to work,
Okay.
but I had ordered from Kelsey and Kim's, had food. I ordered, the whole dinner.
Oh, you actually didn't make any food this year, huh?
Huh?
I said you didn't get a chance to make any food this year, huh?
No, because I went from one to the other. Had to work.
Yeah,
I worked Wednesday night, then I had to work Thursday afternoon. So
yeah, it's tough.
no, there was no time for me to um cook
Okay. So,
and sleep at the same time. Can't
yeah,
cook and sleep at the same time.
nah, especially one that seems to be really important, you know. But we're hoping that Christmas can be better for you.
Say again?
I said we can hope Christmas is better for you.
Oh yeah, I'm off.
There we go.
I'm off, so I'll be cooking.
I know. You begin it in.
I gotta find a turkey.
There are plenty of them out there.
Oh, and one that I can afford. How about that?
Well, you know what? The prices weren't that high. If I stumble onto one, I'll be reminded, and I will make sure I hold one for you. How's that?
Okay.
'Cause this year I didn't get as many turkeys as I normally did. Usually get about 600 turkeys, somewhere around 600. One year had about 750 that I gave out to the community. This year I only had about 300. Yeah, but luckily it didn't seem like there was a need for more because there was so many different people giving out turkeys, which was good.
Yeah.
It was good as long as people ate. I had some bold people that were talking about, damn, if I would have known you was how I came and got about 2 or 3 so I could sell them here. And I was like, are you kidding me? But they were like honest. They were like honest. They're like, yo, I can sell these birds. I'm like, well, if you think about it, if you have somebody just with $20, they can get a 40-pound bird. It comes out cheaper to them, especially when they're lazy. Some people, but that's then. This is now. Got to prepare for my Christmas season. What do you have? You have anything planned? Anything extraordinary for Christmas?
Nah, that's whatever I can find. They'll eat whatever I cook. So.
Okay, got you. So much love in the household. I got you. Okay, gotcha.
No,
Simple.
they
Right.
will eat what I cook.
I got you. So it just reminds
I
me.
lose this weight. I'm too fat. Gosh.
I think that's the saying that all of us say, except for Adrian, of course, because he maintains the same. But a lot of us are saying the same thing. Pandemic pounds are a pain in the ass.
No, I'm actually struggling trying to get in my clothes. I'm tight.
I know that feeling.
Fighting with my clothes.
I know that feeling. Yeah. So before you go, I want to ask you what is your opinion about Omicron? Are you
About
concerned?
what?
Omicron.
What is that?
It's a new Ninja Turtle.
Oh, the variant you talking about?
Yeah, the score.
New Transformer movie.
Exactly,
Isn't that spelled backwards? Mediocre or something?
No, it's mojito.
I like that. That's a good one. Oh man, I need to
Yeah,
finish.
I don't really know too much about it. I don't keep up with that stuff.
Well,
So I
the
depends on.
COVID-19, the
Yeah,
Omicron.
I understand it's a new variant and everything, but like I said, I don't really keep up with that stuff. So I depend on y'all.
It's just think of it like another Power Ranger. That's all. That's all it really is.
The next Transformer movie, right? As long as you straight, you good. You're gonna be all right. I'm wondering if people start developing their opinions about this stuff because some people are so fed up with the whole concept of the vaccine and COVID-19 that they're really starting.
What they're really talking about is the fact that the state is now, or companies are now trying to mandate that these people get these vaccines when they don't want to. They don't force them to have abortions. Why are you forcing somebody to put a vaccine in their body when they don't want to?
But you have court systems.
The abortion, the issue is being taken up by the Supreme Court as we speak. You do know that, though.
Yeah.
Because they're challenging it, from Texas. Because if you decide to have an abortion in Texas, you'll go to jail. And the person that's taking you to get that abortion, if he's an Uber driver, they can be sued up to $10,000.
But you know what? There was just a case not long ago that stopped companies from having to mandate their employees to have it. So in the courts themselves, there's a lot of court cases dealing with COVID-19 and the mandate. Because right now at this point in time, no one can officially mandate it for you to be employed.
So I know they were saying at my job that if you didn't have the vaccination, that you would have to get a weekly COVID test at your cost.
Yeah.
You would have to pay for it.
Right.
Correct.
Right. That's
And
reasonable.
there's a reason behind that, because if an employee gets sick,
Yeah.
from COVID while on the job, a lot of lawyers are lining up to actually start filing lawsuit against some of these companies. And that's the reason why the companies are trying to protect themselves. And
Yeah.
OSHA is going to come down and make it mandatory that a lot of companies are going to have to put that in place. So it's going to come from the top down.
And to a
We're
certain
missing a
extent,
lot of employees. Because one, ain't nobody getting no COVID test every week. Ain't nobody gonna pay for that. So
I'm starting to see COVID tests actually become regularly available, even a lot more exact and a lot more scientific.
no, they are available. I'm saying that the people are being forced to pay for it themselves. It was
No,
free.
What I'm saying, of course, it was never free. It's just that you didn't have to independently pay for it from one side. It'd be paid from the national budget.
Yeah, correct. The federal government was fitting the bill.
Right.
Well, they're not
So-
going to do that.
Well,
Right.
if you don't want to get the vaccine, they say, well, you're going to have to pay for the test. That's the option.
Right. If you have medical
Either you
insurance.
take the vaccine or you pay for it, the test yourself. Those are
Right.
the two options.
And if you have medical insurance, it pays for it. And then again, this is that whole concept of the Affordable Cares Act. They were trying to dismantle the Affordable Cares Act at one point in time to enable this and that. And they said, no, certain elements need to continue. And this is one of them. So I don't know what is that? What is that noise?
Me, I'm sorry. I need to take my mic off.
Oh, no, I don't know. You scratched something. I was like, what is that?
Mm-hmm.
But it's that continuous money chain that continues going. So I'm more, I'm actually relieved when I saw this advertisement of this test that you can get at any store now, CVS and Walmart, that is more exact, and you can find all the variants, everything within 15 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm like, that's some good shit to have if you're traveling.
I think it's Merck or Pfizer put it out.
You go to a family reunion someplace, a nasty ass uncle looking that well, be like, yo, uncle, come here, sneeze into this, knock this out. 15 minutes later, like, yo, you gotta go. You'd be a lot easier working with something like this. I don't know.
Well, a lot of people are not even inviting their family members over if they're going to find they're not vaccinated. They're like, look, you wouldn't have that party at my crib. Forget about it.
Funny as hell,
this year.
Holding a cookout over Zoom. That'd be hilarious. You're like, I bet your ass can't steal no food this year.
Yeah, well, just remember, because New Year's is coming around, and a lot of people like to, right before, the countdown. Remember the big countdown? Everybody goes to the casinos.
Oh, yeah.
I know that. I've worked there many years, the whole 9 yards. Everybody gets together, Times Square, and everybody wants to count down and hug each other and kiss each other, the whole 9 yards. It's going to blow up.
I'll tell you what, I actually put my name to consideration to work New Year's Eve, man, because they're offering some good coin just for a couple hours of serving liquor to people. I'll be up there strapped up with all kinds of masks on, hyperventilating, making some ones.
Well, everybody's going to go to try to make some coins between now and New Year's. Trust and believe, That's what it's all about. You got to get it before the year is out. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. I had to follow through. I had to get my Asian beads to make sure everything was going good. Making sure the New Year blossoms.
But the thing about it is also because next year there's the IRS is going to be looking at a lot of people. Bless you. IRS is going to be looking at a lot of people next year if you're doing business on the internet, and some of the apps like Uber and Lyft and DoorDash and Instagram, Instacart, anything $600 and over, you're going to be hit with a 1099 to file next year, because that's what the federal government kicked in, because they want to get some of that money that is shelled out right back to them.
Oh, in a big way.
So they're going to be taxing. It's going to be like the $10,000 right now. Anything 10,000 and over, it's going to be 600. So if you have PayPal, if you have Stripe, if you have one of those apps and stuff that actually passes through your payments, and you go over 600, IRS is going to be looking you up the following year.
You're going to be hit.
2023.
PayPal, Cash App, Venmo,
yeah, they're going to help you out, man. I'm telling you.
All of them. They're all linked up. They're all going to be connected. So you thought you was getting a hookup, getting paid off.
So the next year,
IRS going to be like, come get me my money.
They're going to be clocking you. Trust and believe.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying?
God. It's going to be a pain in the ass. So whoever
that's part of that last infrastructure bill that was passed recently. That's part of that bill in there.
I got beef right now. Why do women's suits not have pockets?
Why don't you start designing it? There you go.
I don't have that. I can tell somebody what I want, but I
I got
don't have that type of skill.
I got a sewing machine. I'll teach you. You'll be
I
all right.
had to go all the way to Cherry Hill or Deptford to find a woman's suit that actually had a jacket and pants that matched, not separate. And then I got pants pockets, but my suit jacket don't have no pocket.
Well, possibly because of the type of suit. You have different types of cuts.
No, they making women's clothes now to pull on pants, tight pants. Where's the trousers? Where's the slacks? I'm 45 years old. I don't want my cootie being shown in my pants.
Oh, okay. I got you.
TMI.
But I'm feeling you. I understand. I'm absorbing your problem, your issue. I'm with you. I'm feeling you, my sister. You know, if you don't want your cootie shown, not a problem. I'm with you. You know, you keep that private.
Don't nobody need to know all the goodies. I'm trying to hide the goodies. What are you talking about?
I totally understand, but I think in your position, you're hardly in the public anyway, right?
Hey,
Huh?
does Pisco still work there?
Yeah, he's there on swing. He's the swing shift manager.
Yeah, I know Pisco. I used to work with him.
Yeah, I don't know too many people who don't know Ron Pisco.
Yeah, well, he
Yes.
used to run. Yeah, he used to run Tropicana Security, and I was with him back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a shift manager, swing shift manager now.
Yeah,
I feel for
he's
him.
been with that stuff for a long time, man. I'm telling you, Ron Pisco.
He must have been persecuted at a young age quite a lot. Pisco? Ooh, shit.
Ron Pisco, yep.
I know the guy. Tell him Adrian Huggins said hi. He knows me.
Adrian knows everybody, so you know what's up. Been in the industry. He knows everybody.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it looks presentable.
You look
hiding your goodies. Hiding your goodies, you look good. You're good. So we're hoping that things get better. Let's just say. Earlier today, I was watching. Check this out, Adrian. I was watching a documentary about Video Music Box. You remember that, right?
Video Music Box.
New York City, WNYC TV channel 31.
Okay, go for
Rob
it.
McDaniels.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking about his family coming from Trinidad, right?
Oh, speaking about the islands, you mentioned Rhianna because it says Rhianna is one of the most popular people that came up out of Barbados. Do you know who another one is?
From Barbados?
Yeah, from Barbados. Another famous person from Barbados, if you can.
Let's see. Let me think back. I'm thinking Carmen Jones. I'm thinking Harry Belafonte. I'm thinking who else?
Harry Belafonte.
Yeah,
I think look that one up.
I think he's Bayesian.
You know, but I'll give you someone that a lot of people missed. Grandmaster Flash. He's from Barbados.
Okay.
One of the pioneers of hip hop and the scratching in the music, you know, the whole 9 yards, the message, you know, survival, the whole 9 yards. Grandmaster Flash.
Oh, okay, cool. Probably one of the reasons why we couldn't understand his ass earlier in his life. Okay.
Well, the man invented scratching. Now you could just press a button and everything is scratching now.
Yeah.
DJ Jazzy Jeff was just a baby when that guy was on the turntables.
Yeah, indeed. But I was watching McDaniels and he was talking about his family, and it was funny because he had stated something that I saw so much in my early age, in my youth. We were havens. My home was a haven for anyone that would come from different countries that needed someplace to stay temporarily until they got on their foot. She hosted many people, and the guy was saying that anybody from Trinidad would naturally use their home to stay there to get, temporary. What do you call it? Somewhere to stay temporarily, legally to be able to stay.
Yeah, like a fallout shelter. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was funny because they had about half of the nation of Trinidad stayed with them, and I'm like, I wonder if Adrian's family may have been connected with the McDaniels in Queens.
Well, like it says, I have family members. You know what I'm saying? In Brooklyn, the whole 9 yards. I know a lot of people.
Okay. Laurel, we really appreciate you taking us on that journey from where you were to where you are now. We're hoping that you have a
I'm
wonderful.
still at the post.
I'm trying to get it together, guys.
I know, but you're rushing getting to work, so we appreciate what time that you're giving us. So I'm hoping that everything works out for you. If not, Adrian and I will
What is
come up.
going on? I'm sorry. I'll talk to you guys later because
All
my
right,
phone is
okay.
not doing what I wanted to do. It's connected to all different kind of stuff.
Okay.
So
All right. We wish you, have a great night. Be safe.
I'm gonna
Take
try
care.
my best. I don't want to hurt nobody tonight.
No,
You
don't
know
do
how
it.
they do.
Violence solves nothing. Negotiation works.
Hey, if I talk them out the door, I'd rather do that. There's less paperwork. But you know, some people when they get that liquid courage in them, they don't understand.
Sweetheart, you're preaching to the choir.
I'm only going to share the wisdom that I remember the wisdom that was shared with me by security experts. Never in front of a camera.
You know something, Mo?
Oh, that's all they got nowadays is cameras.
You know, when I worked at security at Tropicana many moons ago, they would say, yeah, if you have a drunk individual, get Adrian because that person would show me up to him. Hey, my buddy. I'm
Sorry.
like, what the hell? You know what I'm saying? I become a drunkard's best friend, you know?
This ain't a lot about you, man. It's something.
Yeah, I was talking to this one guy day before yesterday. He works for the Hard Rock. So I'm like, where do you work, man? He said, I work for Hard Rock. I said, what do you do there? He said, yo, bro, you're asking too many questions. So they said, I'm a dealer there. I said, oh, okay. I said, do you know this guy by the name of Anthony Spagno? He's like, no, I never heard of him. I said, you'll hear of him pretty soon. He's going to be running the whole casino floor. That's going to be your boss. Good friend of mine. So let you know, I'm not a stalker. the dude looks at me. He's like, damn. Yeah.
Just dropping a name on them. I hear you, bro.
Yeah, like I said, I've been in the business for so long. Some of these guys are shift managers and running the joints. Mm-hmm. So I'll just go in and I'll just drop a name and I'm in or whatever, Mm-hmm. The guy's like, oh man, I was only joking with you, apparently.
I wanted to not Laurel is on her way to work.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, did you hear about what first off, let me ask you a question. Do you know who Enes Kanter is? He's a basketball player from Turkey. Have you ever heard of him?
Not particularly.
Okay. Well, recently, Enes Kanter, first off, I think it happened within the last day or two. He became a U.S. citizen. He was from Turkey originally. And in his process of becoming a U.S. citizen, he also changed his name. Now his name is Enes Freedom. Enes Kanter is Palestinian by nature, and he comes from Turkey. So he was always countering a lot of national news and discussions here and there about slavery, about injustices. And lately he took on a campaign to come at LeBron James for his partnership with Nike and how Nike uses slave labor, or they treat people really badly in China where these sneakers are being made, where his sneakers are. Take it so much where he's playing basketball against LeBron James in a pair of sneakers where he mocks LeBron James on the basketball court. And he's gone into national discussions about it. People asking questions. He's gladly. He's he's trying to bring awareness that LeBron James is involved with slavery. He's benefiting from this belittling of so many people in other nations, paying them like slave labor to make sneakers that he makes billions of dollars off of. And sadly enough, it's sort of diminishing the character of LeBron off the court. I always said on the court, he's one of the biggest bitches on the basketball court, crybaby and all that stuff. He's an overachiever, of course, but he's also a big whiner. But off the court, I've always given him a lot of credit for doing so much, so good for a lot of people, even creating it's a school that he calls the Promise School that's put a lot of children in the process of education, even promoting them into college and paying for their college education. Doing a lot of really good stuff. And I applaud him and love him as a man for doing that. Him and his family but this recent discussion, he's bringing attention about how a lot of the, I guess the tinkering and the toys that we like to show off in American culture, that no one's paying attention at the real cost of it worldwide. And I was like, it's very interesting because you don't hear, usually a lot of the times when it talks about slavery and things like this, you don't hear a black man being targeted for being involved in slavery. I mean, at one point in time, Michael Jordan was attacked because he had similar business antics. And he was very adamant, telling people, I don't give a fuck what you think. It's none of your business how my business is and who I'm doing this. He did that for many, many years until like recently. He started to be very vocal about helping the community and doing a lot more than he has in the past, which I finally applaud his old ass. But he's finally doing it. But in his canter, it was really interesting. So you may not have heard him, but it could be part of the discussion. As you heard about, what's her name? Ping Zhong? Is it Ping Zhong? From China, the tennis player?
The lady that disappeared?
The one that disappeared, but you see videos and pictures of her.
They made it disappear temporarily also. Yeah, I'm totally familiar with that. Also, another person that made disappear temporarily was the owner of Alibaba, because he became so powerful, so wealthy. In China, that's a no-no over their leader.
Yeah. Well, if I'm not mistaken, Alibaba was repositioned over into Taiwan. I know it was a Chinese-based company at one point in time.
It's always been a Chinese-based company. Right. I was watching a documentary on it.
Right. That's how it started. But I think when it spanned out, because there's Alibaba and Alibaba Express, I think it's Express. When they did that, he did it out of Taiwan. And I think one of the things was trying to get out of the grasp of the Chinese government. Because over there, it's a whole, you get one, we get two, you get one, we get three type shit over there in China. So he's made billions. And for him to equate he's almost dollar for dollar for Jeff Bezos.
Well, like it says, the prime minister of China, President Xi. I mean, this guy, he doesn't want that, and he made his ass disappear for a little while. And a lot of people say when he showed back up, he was humble as pie, man. I'm telling you, So Xi is make sure that he's going to keep a lot of these guys in check. That's exactly what he's doing. I heard you mention them, earlier before I signed on, about China and the way how they're going with stuff. She is, as a matter of fact, she was educated in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
In agriculture in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. And right before he became, prime minister of China and stuff, they're like, we don't know what happened to this guy, but he changed coat big time. They say they never thought he would be that ruthless.
Yeah.
Because the Uyghurs, he made a lot of those guys disappear in jail also and retrain them, which is the Muslim Chinese.
Right. It's a trip how that nation still operates the way it does after so long, with so many different influences in the world and interactions in the world. It's really a trip.
But their country unto themselves. They even said, well, if the United States want us, they're so concerned about the Uyghurs and all of the stuff that we're doing, look what they're doing to black people over there. We see the situation. We see the rioting.
That's the one thing.
And the cops shooting the people and stuff. But you talk about us here in China. But look what you're doing to the black people in the United States. And they're your own citizens.
Yeah. Well, when Malcolm X was taking the United States to court, at the World Court, about slavery, two of the nations that were supportive of Malcolm X was Libya, Muammar Gaddafi, and China. Two nations that were very adamant. And I think it's because the civil rights movement came about with the small books. There was ideology behind. In China, there was I think it was Xi Xiaoping. I think that's the name of the dynasty with the little red books. It was about communism, teaching the basis of communism. So there was so much respect between the struggles.
The Ming dynasty is what you're referring to?
I can't remember. I mean, but I remember it was called the Little Red Books. That's how
communism.
Right. And that's how the Black Panthers were able to raise money for a lot of their programming by selling these books. And at that time, it was a mobilizer for a lot of people for self-awareness and the advancement of people of color in the United States. And that became somewhat of an impetus of relationships in China. Because unfortunately, Japan had a bad relationship with people of color because we were told to be animals, we had tails and what have you. But China, oddly enough, had built a better relationship because of our camaraderie. And that still continues now. I remember when.
Yeah, it does not really continue because right now, the United States and China are like, they're very close to going at it because they're looking at Taiwan.
But remember,
China says, look, it's just like Hong Kong. When Hong Kong was released back in 1997 from the British, they said, well, you're going to continue having your democracy in China. They in Hong Kong. The Chinese government says, "Oh hell no!" They cracked down on all of that shit. A lot of those people that was protesting in Hong Kong to have Hong Kong remain, democratic, went to jail.
mm-hmm.
And a lot of them fled the country.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing about it is, when America owes China a substantial amount of money based on, I mentioned to you, the mortgage crisis. They were one of the biggest investors in the United States. They have a lot in common, but yet remember, when the Second World War actually happened was because Japan was actually attacking China and killing the Chinese, right? And that's why we dropped the bomb on Japan. And then he turned around, and now China has the largest army on the planet because remember they have about 1 billion plus people living in China. So they have a very large army. There's no doubt about it. And the hypersonic missile that they actually shot off that went around the planet scared the hell out of a lot of people because they say it came very close to hitting that damn target.
Right.
So, but right now, Japan is like much more of a favorite to the United States than China is. And that's the situation because you have the Russians and now you have the Chinese, both of them being communists, are now partnering and doing business.
I get what you're saying, but I'm not talking about the nations. I'm talking about the relationship with the community of African Americans or people who are of the struggle.
Okay,
People.
let me touch on that then, because China went into Africa, and China went into Africa, and then recently, come to find out that one of the airports, in one of the African nations, now owned by China. Apparently, they foreclosed on it.
Right.
So a lot of the money that they were actually, loaning to a lot of these African nations, and the African nations are unable to pay them back, they're taking their property. And that's the reason why I believe it's part of Nigeria, one of the parts of Africa, they started kicking them to hell up out of there because the Chinese was discriminating against the black people in China. So then the people from Africa said, to hell with that. We kicked the Chinese up out of Africa.
But beyond all that, the premise of this stuff has to do with the fact that 1 billion plus people in the nation of China, they can't substantially maintain themselves, so they're dependent upon what comes from the United States and what comes from Africa, the continent of Africa. So this is the impetus behind a lot of the relationship. So there's a lot of nonsense as far as business and who owes this and that. But if it's under the premise, the World Court still has a lot of stuff that is really talking about. It's in the mix. Remember, Prague basically at one point in time was shut down for a while. The World Court, the Sentinel, all that stuff was shut down because of the way the structure of the world and planet was going. The European nation was starting to develop, so there's a lot of stuff going on. But it's still available at that point in time. You have the great Sentinel, the courts of different people from different parts of the world come together to decide something. The premise of the discussion is the discussions that still being had now. Unfortunately, China has so much of a dependency on stuff coming from South America, or all of the Americas except for Canada, and as well as the continent. There's a premise that says that China owns so much of these parts and everything. These were partnerships that China had made for them to be able to get sustainable resources that they can't get at the level that's necessary in China. So there's discussions about the levying of businesses or the business this way, foreclosing here, foreclosing that. It's not even a necessary thing because in these nations, you want the airport? Take it, not a problem. But we will cut down on the fee that we give you. That will be the stall. That'll be the stall point right now. When they say, all right, we're going to move on you and you won't be able to move, not a problem. You do that, you won't get the food that we supply your nation. That's where the things ain't being discussed. Even the United States supports China at such a high level. We send them corn, we send them feed, we send them hay, we send them our scrap metal and garbage. All of those factors come from our nation to them that they needed to sustain themselves at such a high level. The funny dichotomy of all this stuff is that a lot of the bullshit that they have, they waste, they created into the other things that we buy later on in Alibaba and all that bullshit. But the reality is that one is dependent upon the other. Sustainable resources cannot be replicated at a level that it needs to be. And that's why you see forestation comes out. You'll see certain areas of the nation, like in Egypt, you have a major portion of the desert that has been reclaimed, and now farms are being built. In China, they just recently got this information or this technology just not long ago, where it was the sands coming in from the Mojave and from everything coming from the central part of Asia, where there was really horrid weather or whatever, so things can't grow. So they created the technology to be able to take back that territory to create farms, because there's such a huge demand on food and natural resources that they depend so much on other nations. And they offer business deals and offer this and that and everything. So one's entangled with the other. So China can flex all it wants to, but the minute that the vital veins get cut, then you'll see the real struggle take place.
Well, see, the thing that I get what you're saying, but to push back on exactly what you're saying, because just like someone said when I was watching a documentary on China, as far as the United States, because you remember right now, the United States have a shipping crisis, but not only that, China also has a crisis right now because they started shutting down in China based on the second wave of COVID that's actually happening. So a lot of the factories are closing, even though some of them are saying, oh yeah, we're still pushing things out. But when they send it across the United States, it's off the coast. You have about 100 ships, just sitting off the coast that just can't bring that stuff in. A lot of that stuff is toys, electronics and the whole 9 yards. It's not getting into the United States because there's a blockage out there.
And the process, right?
And someone also said, that, with China and the United States, remember, both of them are superpower now. Both of them are superpower one, and one is not going to try to terminate the other one because the one also needs the other one. Either way you look at it. You see what I'm saying? So the bottom line is they neutralize each other. That's what they do in essence.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know in just recently, I just saw a discussion had on I'm trying to remember the Indian network talking about the big embargo issue. Well, not necessarily the embargo, the shipping issue. 99% of the shipping issue is products that are coming in from other nations. The fact is that most people aren't aware is while they're on a ship, they're still owned by the person delivering it. They're no longer they are not claimed, or they're not claimed until they're actually on ground, on the land. Once they're on the maritime law, once they're still owned by the company who's actually shipping it. So whoever is sending it is not getting their pay. They're not getting their money until it's received.
Correct.
So all those nations, which primarily is Asia, usually a lot of the general shipping areas, a lot of them are from Asian nations. They're not getting their money. However, nothing that's supposed to be shipped from the United States abroad has a problem. We haven't heard one shipping container, one ship with any shipping containers stalled out leaving the United States.
But do you remember not long ago, you also had a situation where the Suez Canal was actually blocked up by that one ship also. Mm-hmm. Remember the one ship that actually turned sideways and blocked? And I know that was going to create a crisis right there by itself.
Big time.
And it did. And it did. And by the time you open that up, you just open up the floodgates to a whole lot of ships coming in all at once now. Mm-hmm. So you still have and then you have, with COVID and the country shutting down, you have a crisis. Mm-hmm. I don't care what Biden says, you have a crisis on your hand any way you try to cut it. They're like, oh, we'll get everybody to work 24 hours, 7 days a week, around the clock, the whole night. Look, at the end of the day, player, you still got a crisis there. You still have a freaking crisis.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and now Christmas is coming out. You see a lot of things, including toys, going to start going through the freaking roof. There's no doubt about it. They're opening up Toys R Us and some of these other malls and stuff. But at the
Yeah.
same time, the big companies are closing down. Like Macy's is going to be closing a lot of stores, heading down. CVS have already made the cut. The one in Absecon is out of here.
Right.
You know, so you're going to see a lot of stores closing down.
Right.
So it's going to take, I would say probably until 2023, late 2023, the fourth quarter, early into 2024, to get a hold of this entire thing to get it back under control.
Well, I guess with this whole concept, everything is shifting. Not only are our norms and the way life is, the pandemic itself, the economy, all that stuff gets a shift. The idea is to make it shift so it's some balance to it, because if not, it's going to be like it's going to tip over.
Well,
and I think that's the
these are
biggest.
the people from that have foreign cars like Nissan. Some of these parts that's coming from overseas. If you're waiting for that particular part for your car, a lot of those things are held up at the ports.
Yeah, those have parts overseas, especially high-end vehicles. Oh,
Yeah.
you stop. You got a high-end vehicle, you stop.
Get freaking parts for it.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of these makes, like Volkswagen, Nissan, Toyota, a lot of them have plants here in the United States because it's cheaper that way. They'll send 90% of the products here.
It was a strategy many years ago for them to do that down south.
Right.
Honda does.
Yep. So there's a lot of parts like that. It's the high-end vehicles, like Mercedes-Benz and stuff like that has to be shipped over to Germany to get fixed. I'm like some nonsense like that, but that's where you see it. Anybody has a high-end vehicle, real high-end,
and the chips to go along, the chips to go along with those vehicles. If the chip goes bad and they have to get it from overseas, you're pretty much screwed. You might as well try to start catching a bus or something.
Hell yeah, with the electric bike. Matter of fact, electric bike coming from that area, so you're not getting one of those. You better get a Schwinn.
Yeah, I'll tell you,
Schwinn or a Huffy. But this whole shipping thing is something. But you know what I'm seeing too? Also, there's a lot more discussion now about the electric vehicles used in transit vehicles. So you're seeing a lot more vehicles being promoted now for sale, like the electric, like Tesla. Tesla has the electric transit vehicles.
everybody wants an electric car these days. Is or a hybrid. I mean that's the thing to go to these days.
Right.
But many years ago, when the EV1 first came out, General Motors destroyed that whole thing.
Well, we know that. That's like electricity with Tesla.
Exactly.
And electricity. Right. When you talk about some sort of opposition or some sort of someone to contest your ability to make money, of course you're going to see some dirty people action. But the good thing about now is that because there's such a mandate, I think it's 2008, all vehicle companies have to be at least 90% electric, or at least offering the hybrid function. I think that's the case, that window, 2029, something like that. There's a lot more options. I just saw, they call it the Cybertruck killer, which to me made all the sense in the world, because it was the biggest gap that I saw in this whole function about having an electric vehicle. Because if you have an electric vehicle, you like to drive, great. A lot of pros about it, all the bells and whistles, beautiful, and it's quiet as hell, really fast and all that. But when the charge is done, where the hell do you charge your vehicle? And then because the vehicles, each one has prongs that may be a little different than other, you may be further away from a charging station than you can come to be comfortable. So you're not able to travel long distances. Well, this vehicle I just saw, I think it's called an EFE. I got to find out a little bit more about it. They call it the Cybertruck killer because it's built like a truck. It's really beautiful inside. First off, it caught me off guard because the first row is 3 seats. I'm like, 3 seats? First row? What? But the whole cabin holds 6 people, has a full bed and the whole 9. Big 37-inch tires, beautiful. I like the truck concept, right? Fast. It goes over 450 miles a charge. First off, is the only vehicle I saw of that kind of caliber that goes that far off of one charge. Then the second factor that really sealed it for me was it's solar panels all over top of the roof of it and the hood, the dash, everything. Solar panels, so it charges itself.
Yeah.
So once you get a vehicle like that, if you're driving in an area, say, in daylight, you're basically able to go endlessly. You don't ever have to stop.
Yeah, I'm familiar with it. Yeah.
Shit, that's wonderful. That's a great concept. Now it's no pit stops. You got to worry about gas. You're just going. You just got to make sure.
I think, but think about a lot of the people that are actually selling the electricity right back to the electric company. from the solar panels on their house.
That's a
I
great
think eventually somebody like Elon Musk or one of these guys is going to come down and says, "All right, if we have designated homes, whereas you could actually have your car charged, and we pay those people for the energy instead of selling it back to the electric company and actually doing it that way." They're going to figure out a way to circumvent that whole entire situation. Because if you have solar panels on your home and you sell it back to the electric company and they just cut your bill, hey, but you can make more money if a guy pulls his car up and you plug that bad boy in, it's running off your solar panel, and you're charging this car at the same time. You're making more money cash than what you would actually get. It would be like the Uber type thing, off an app that where you could go to get your car charged, such as your Tesla car, and just park it up in front of somebody's crib. It might be your neighbor. It might be you. Because, instead of selling it back to the electric company, you could actually charge up somebody's car to help them out. And you pay that person.
I think Volvo jumped ahead. They have a charging ability now using a regular 220 plug. Regular 220 plug. So you don't need the special plug or charger someplace else. You can plug in somebody's house. You got a 220 line, boom, rock it in there, take 2 hours and it's charged at least 60%. It's a Volvo. I was like, that right there was very intelligent. Now, if you put that with the EFV, EFE technology, shit, you got a good sale.
But
It'd be expensive.
If you look at it, because I see a lot of people driving around with black cars. Black attracts the sun. Every track. So the thing about it is, the entire dashboard, and some of these cars are being made with it, have the entire dashboard as a solar panel, but nice and fancy.
That's what that truck is.
Charging at the same time. The roof of the car, same thing. The deck in the back, same thing. Put solar panels that look very nice and fancy, and it charges up your vehicle.
Yep, that's the same exact thing with that technology that truck has. Every flat surface that it has,
correct, has a solar panel.
Yep, has solar panels on it.
Yeah,
and it's so cool, and because not only is it helping charge, because of the density of the solar panel, also reinforces the truck, the vehicle is actually stronger, lighter, and stronger.
And that's the reason why I mentioned to you when we had Derek Brock on here. These people that go to Penco Tech and go to Lincoln Tech for automotive, they're not mechanics, they're technicians. It's a big difference. A mechanic is somebody that you learn from your grandfather, your uncle in the backyard and stuff. These guys are technicians actually putting meters. You have to know about ohms and the whole 9 yards when it comes down to the electrical, because it's going to become very complex working on a lot of these cars and the chips that go along with it. So you have to really know your stuff. It's not like something that you can learn in the backyard, And
with this technology, it's necessary.
Yes, it's necessary, because the car is becoming very sophisticated in many different forms. Look at Cadillac, look at some of the other ones, Bugatti, look at the Rolls Royce. I mean, these things are a very sophisticated piece of equipment. So you just can't have any backyard mechanic coming up there working on your car. You got to have a technician.
Well, I'm not going to say you can't, because it's been proven how people have. The person who actually originated the electric vehicle that Tesla is famous for now was an African man who just developed it on his own based on the knowledge that he has. So he's just a tinkerer. He wasn't certified in that type of things, but he was knowledgeable in solar energy.
But a lot of the stuff now, you could actually, they're incorporating so many different devices and so many different, you have Bluetooth inside of the car, you have internet radio, you have all of these different things running off the computer chip. You have the automatic, the remote car starter. You have a lot of sophistication when it comes into a freaking car these days. There's no doubt about it. And you see, I've torn apart my car, and I'll show you that. I should post it online when I took apart the whole dashboard. I'm like, look at all these wires here, and you have to know where each and every one of them go to, and then you have to try to tie that in. Like this friend, my neighbor, I have one of those cameras from Amazon that you could actually see in the back of your vehicle. Not only that you put it on your rearview mirror, so you have a front end camera, but then the back end camera, you have to tie everything in and then run it straight back. And then you have to drill the holes in the bezel in the back over the license plate and install that. So I saw him a few days ago. Says, "Yo, when are you going to install your camera?" He says, "Adrian, I already had it installed." He said, "Apparently you're afraid of the cold and stuff, so I had somebody else do it for me." I said, "Well, that's good. I don't mind hell. Get somebody else a break. You give me a break too at the same time."
Right.
He has a BMW. So You know, it was a 530i, something like that, BMW. So he had the whole thing. He's like, it's beautiful the way how it looks. I'm like, yeah. So now when you're backing up, you don't have one, but you have two cameras that you're looking at.
Mm-hmm. Well, they have. I've seen some pretty good technology now when it comes to review mirror cameras. One of the ones that I wanted to do is integrate. It's a Chinese company that does the glass itself, the mirror glass. It has multiple angles, has side view, has they call a passenger camera inside the cabin
Mm-hmm.
with the sensors and the whole nine, and it runs a whole diagnostics on the vehicle. It gives, I mean, it's really wide span with the type of technology that it has, and it doesn't encroach on your space any more than just the rear view mirror. It's that spacing.
Yeah,
I was like,
that's
wow.
mine. I get to see the front. I get to see the back. You know, when somebody pulls up behind me, I get to see the whole license plate, everything. Everything's like crystal clear. It's HD.
Yeah, yeah. The one I want to get for my truck is has all those capabilities. It's actually 360. So it's like I said, side view, wide angle, night vision, camera angles, camera from inside and outside. It's really like if you thought someone going overboard, somebody added additional shit like heat sensors and shit like that. And I'm like, wow, this is some next level type stuff. But it's not as expensive as you think. Crutchfield has that same option, just uses a different name. But when I saw it the other day, it was really high ranking in reviews and people who do it themselves. Type really nice, and it's really easy to attach. And I was like, that would be the one because I'm concerned more so about. I'm not concerned as much about people breaking into my vehicle as someone taking it. If that makes any sense, because at any point in time, as you see now, one of the biggest things that are starting to see a lot more of is when you stop someplace and you feel comfortable enough to leave your car on and you stepping out of your car to go someplace, whether it's walking directly into a facility or something for a second, people are stealing cars immediately like that.
Well, see, the thing about it is when you have a remote car starter, you're like my car. I get out of my car, I leave my car running, but I have the key fob with it. As soon as somebody jumps in and they throw that bitch in gear, it cuts off automatically. It
Right.
shuts it down.
That's what I was going to say.
It
That's the
shuts
other
it down.
thing. Right.
So you know, I lock my doors here, but if you're fortunate enough to get inside it, you're not going to go anywhere because even when my car is out there warming up, you know, I have the keys in the whole 9 yards. By the time you know the key fob and stuff, you put it in gear, the car shuts off. It's like to hell with you. I'm not going anywhere,
Right.
and that's a very good thing for as an anti-theft device.
Right. The kill switch is something that's been really helpful.
Correct.
The
Correct.
only thing is a key fob also runs off the RFID network, the same thing off of your card. So if
Correct.
you have somebody that comes up and bumps you and you have the thing in your pocket, it
But,
can basically register the same
but you know something,
RFID
Mo?
number.
Anytime you're dealing in technology, it can be stolen.
Hell yeah.
Period. From
So
your
be
credit
cautious.
card inside of your wallet
Right.
to anything else. You
Right.
know, so it all depends on the sophistication of the thief. That's all there is to it. I've seen
Mhm.
thieves actually steal high-end vehicles where the wiring is not conventional. It's totally opposite. You know,
Yeah.
if you have the pink wire and the red wire, it's not the pink and the red to actually kick this car
Right.
over. It will
Right.
be something totally different.
Exactly.
You
I
know,
saw a
so
special.
so it depends on the sophistication. And a lot of thieves not going to go through, you know, try going to school to try to learn how to steal shit. Period.
I
You
saw
know,
this is the crazy shit. I saw on Vice Network. There was a special on Black Market before. What's my man Michael Williams? Before he passed away, he did a special called Black Market, and what he was doing was focusing on the different types of black market crimes or the economy in the black market per se. And one of the times he was talking about high-end vehicles, how they're stolen and so on and so forth, and people were really open about it. And this guy apparently was focusing solely on really high super vehicles, and he had a device. It was like a palm top. It was like it looked like an old BlackBerry that had the ability. All he had to do was walk up on a car, set up a code. He could open up the door, start the car in the whole nine, and steal it within a few seconds because of this device. And he was famous for stealing these super high end cars so much that they created a system to try to get him to stop it from being stolen because those cars would be shipped almost within an hour or two to immediately get it. I mean, he'd get super vehicles. And that's why Dubai was like one of the targets. Some other parts in Asia were targets for these companies that would BMW 7 Series, the new 770 IQ was big time. It was being sold. Anything that had internet-based technology that people use internet in their cars were getting stolen vehicles. All this shit, where there's ever technology involved, there's always going to be someone going to find some way to be able to steal it somehow, some way. But I found it it really blew my mind how this guy had this technology. And you would think when you're paying so much money for these cars and you think that they have the utmost highest level of security, for that high level of security, there's going to be a high level crook that's already thought of a way how to get to your car. So you have to be very cautious. But this shit was crazy. Have you ever seen the key fob for a Koenigsegg? You ever seen a key fob for a Koenigsegg?
No.
As hell, looks like a car. The actual key fob.
I think I saw that many years ago.
It looks like a car.
Yeah.
It's a digital LED on the top of it. It looks like the car itself. You tap the doors on the side of the key fob.
Exactly. I know what you're talking about now.
Yep. This sucker has a refresh encryption rate like 1,000,000 times more than the latest cell phone type stuff.
Yeah, because remember, many years ago, Viper was pretty big and popular back in the day.
Yeah.
Remember back in the day, it says Viper, stand back. You know the type of deal.
Yeah.
Because even my Cutlass Oldsmobile back in the day, even though I had a key the whole 9 yards, I had a kill switch installed on that bad boy. I have different alarm systems. So whereas one of them, if you open the door, I had a pager that actually set it off. If you tinker with the door handle, it will set off my pager.
Right.
If you enter the vehicle, it will set off the alarm.
Right.
So that's what it will actually do. But at the same time, I also had a kill switch.
Yeah.
So to try to actually get away would have been, a moot point.
Mm-hmm. It's technology security wise have come a long way. A lot less wiring, a lot more intense, but it's still one of those type of things. If you have a vehicle that's worth stealing, you have to be even more cautious. Certain things are true. No matter what, you don't have to rely on it. Just don't be foolish enough to leave your vehicle wide open for the next thief. If there's something that you can't avoid and you think you're protected, you're safe.
Look, if you have a car and it has key in the ignition, it can be stolen if you left the key in the ignition. Period.
Hell yeah.
If you have a key fob and you have it on you and you walk away, if they try to take the car, it's going to shut it down. Mm-hmm. It's just that simple, because that's what it was designed to do. Mm-hmm. Apprehend a lot of thieves, because Newark, New Jersey was notorious for stealing a lot of cars back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they set a lot of those guys up. I don't know if you remember the show that they used to have on TV, to catch a crook or whatever the case may be. The guy would steal a car and when he drives away and stuff, then it would just hit a switch, shut the car off, lock the doors, and the guy would be, stuck inside the car, and he starts panicking and crying and the whole 9 yards. Mm-hmm. Those was, some of the shows from back in the day.
I've seen videos of people walk up with little boat batteries and walk up to a vehicle, and there's a certain way you basically frying the computer, and it eliminates the security process into it. I was like, you can be the most intelligent person on the planet. There's going to be equally the same amount in a crook somewhere finding a way how to get over.
That's life.
Yeah, and that's just the system.
Yin to yang,
Every security system, every security company depends on a crook, a high level crook, to teach them how not to steal or how to.
At the same time, when you have a crook that you learn how to steal or whatever the case may be, he's so damn good, he goes to work for the government.
Yeah, you gotta hire him. Yep, exactly.
He goes to work for the government. There's this one guy, he's doing it right now with cybersecurity.
Yep. Hackers, they
hire. And that's going to be a big thing in the future, because everybody's on computer these days. So a lot of positions working in cybersecurity will be a big money job.
It is. I mean, anything dealing with the I guess the forms of security is going to be something, because the more and more this world is on edge, and the less resources and economy, finances are available for people, then people are going to feel even more and more threat.
Yeah,
you just have to be really cautious about it. But I can see it popping. Like I said, it's interesting to me, because I'm still flabbergasted how people break locks. How they look into locks and break. That shit blows my mind. I'm like, wow, that's cool as hell.
It's like one of those things to catch a crook. You
Yeah.
know, there's always somebody out there that's willing to catch a crook. And like that's the reason why I like doing what I do when it comes down to like going after mortgages and stuff like it's like to catch a crook.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You know, I see a lot of people online and stuff celebrating, you know, purchasing their house, but you're just getting into you're just getting started.
Hell yeah.
You're just getting started. Let me see how sideways that's gonna go down the pike.
Hell yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, the devil is always in the details. You know, I celebrate people's, you know, success. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
But then, you know, a fool and his money will soon part. There's no doubt.
Very true. Depends on what you find value in. That's very true. But like I said, the stuff that you do is honorable, man. Because I think, and I think I've said this before. One of the biggest problems I have with society today is its dependency on lawyers, not the law, but lawyers. Because lawyers will find a way to overwhelm you with a system that they interpret, and they've made it so only they interpret.
I had an attorney apologizing to me just yesterday.
Yeah,
He was immensely apologizing, you know, very apologetic. You know, I take his, you know, sincerely, you know, there's no
yeah.
doubt about it. You know, because like I said, I've worked with attorneys and I have, you know, a relative who is an attorney also. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but at the end of the day, like I said, they have to learn, you know, and they're not schooled in certain areas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they have to go find their way. They have to navigate their way through the waters, you know.
Right.
But you also need professional experts. You know, an expert that will actually go in front of the court, and the judge is like, I can't argue. That's what the judge told me. I'll tell you, like, Mr. Ellis, I can't argue with you. You know what I'm saying? I'm
Yeah.
like, saying, yeah, because you don't know what I know. You know what I'm saying? He said, the only thing I can do is just apply the law to every case, you know, formatted. But as far as the intricacies of what you do, he said, I can't do that.
Well, I guess that's what makes him a good judge. Then sometimes, being able to discern what is true. Um,
Yeah, but that's why we
what is
need the lawyers also, because the lawyers actually, you know, present all of the evidence and all of these different things, and that's needed. It's a go between you and the judge or you and the judicial system. They're needed. They're necessary.
mm-hmm.
Let me jump off here real quick. I'm just gonna mute this, and I'll be right back.
All right, it's all good. Um, Now we talked a little bit earlier as far as securities and things like this, because it's really important the way technology is and the way things are going, that you understand how it's necessary. The grid is known before. It's how we're interconnected. The interlockings, the technology, interlockings of things that are motivated or mobilized through electricity, and all these things have integrity issues. There's always some level of integrity issues. There's always some master plan, and I think that's why it's such a big desire to see these films where you see super crooks get involved and do these amazing jobs. You saw the Fast and the Furious having to do with super crooks. Some of the issues with let me see some other the 007 movies, the James Bond movies, they had to deal with super crooks. So when you're dealing with super crooks, it seems to, I guess, it engages the curiosity or the fantasy of people, and people have a tendency of fantasizing, what if it were me type deal. And it's one of those type of things that you have to really consider, because for every child's dream there's an adult who successfully um, have made their dreams or put their dreams in fruition. So please be cautious how people are interacting with you and talking about their dreams. It could be manifesting their dreams when you least expect it. At this moment in time, I want to try to pull up a subject matter that I found it kind of funny, and I know Adrian will relate because he's a musically uh, involved person. So there's the Billboard 100 of all time. The report just came out, and it seems to identify some things, or let me see if I can get into it. The way it is, for anybody who's an aficionado or loves music the way it is, you will see this, and it would probably take you back to see the top 100 where people fall and put into play this top 100 list. Let's see if I can get it. I'm trying to find it, locate it, folks. It's just Billboard's greatest of all time. Here we go. Huh?
We're looking at the sun.
No, my screen up top. I'm looking at the. I don't know if you paid attention lately. The top 100 of all time came out. Billboard's top 100 of all time. And I know you're a person who loves music also. So when this list came about, I was like, wow, okay, this is kind of crazy. And the number one person identified. God, let me find it. 100 greatest of all time. 100. Well, the top 10 of the greatest of all time 100 songs. Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. It's number one. How the hell is he number one? Let me see if I can. I'm going to share the screen so you guys can look at it. But we're talking about music, and I'm trying to identify the greatest of all time type deal. And I'm trying to get it, and it's not necessarily showing up easily. So I don't know why. But I'll show you the screen. Greatest of all time 100 songs. The top 10 is Blinding Lights, The Weeknd. The Twist by Chubby Checker. Smooth, Santana, featuring Rob Thomas. Mac the Knife by Bobby Darin, the original Mac the Knife. Uptown Funk by Mark Ronson, featuring Bruno Mars. How Do I Live by LeAnn Rimes. 7 Party Rock Anthem by LMFAO. I Got a Feeling, the Black Eyed Peas. Macarena, Bayside Boys Mix, and Shape of You, Ed Sheeran. They're considered the top 10 of the 100 hottest songs. What is it? All-time hot 100 songs of all time.
I beg to differ.
How in the hell?
I beg to differ.
Oh, you know that.
Oh, I know that. I beg to differ.
Like, who the hell is putting these lists together?
I don't know, some amateur.
Because he sure wasn't like, and I kept thinking, I said, what are the factors? All right, is it because some of these people that we know surpass them? Like the greatest all-time 100 artists. Look at this. Beatles at number 1. Madonna at number 2. Number 3, Elton John.
Michael Jackson over Janet Jackson over Michael Jackson. That's the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. But look who's on the bottom at number 10.
And then Mariah Carey over Janet Jackson and Michael Jackson. No way. That's twisted.
Yeah, let me move this over so you can see the whole list.
That's twisted.
Look at number 10. Rihanna. How the hell is she in the top 10?
Nah.
I mean, I like Riri, but how the hell is she in the top 10?
Nah.
It's crazy.
Nah. So that seems to be more biased than anything else.
And then Drake follows up underneath it. I'm trying to see the rest of the list because usually you see the whole list. That was the discussion about it earlier because, oh my God, I can't stand some of these websites. Pop-ups everywhere. And Billboard's one of these sites you got to remember. I want to see greatest holiday all songs. I'm trying to get the rest of them. The list is quite interesting all the way over. Top 100.
I beg to differ.
But the Beatles at number 1 still. I'm inclined to say Michael Jackson surpassed the Beatles.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm inclined to believe that. Madonna number 2.
I'm on that one too.
I'm inclined. Madonna has not number 2. I would say top 15, maybe top 20. But number 2, I can't see it. I can't see Madonna.
But look at this list. Look at the list right here, and now. Mm-hmm. You have the Beatles, Madonna, Elton John, Elvis, Mariah Carey, all white. Now you go down Stevie Wonder, Janet Jackson, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. Come on, dude. What's wrong with that picture?
Oh, yeah. I didn't even look at the framework of it, how it is. I'm looking at it from the artist.
But you see what I'm saying, though?
Yeah.
You get where I'm coming from.
Yeah, top 5 white or white looking.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
And that's the reason why I say I beg to differ.
Yeah. It's a damn shame how the list goes on that way.
It seemed like that race. That's some racism shit that's flowed into that list right there. You know.
You know what? It's sad to say, it's the way music has changed and how things are. I'm trying to get the entire list. Let me see if I can get it. List of Billboard's.
And Mac the Knife was a very highly controversial song back in the day.
Hell yeah.
You know, I remember that. Because McDonald's was actually using it for their commercial and they got sued over it back in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
I know because I had the original record to it also.
You was a Bobby Darin fan?
No, believe it or not, you know, the record that I had, Alan had over 5,000 plus records handed down from generations. And they just so happened to be one of them.
Let's see if this pops out. Top 100 songs of all time. Chubby Checker, The Twist. Now this has it number one. Number 2, Smooth. See, this is what I'm saying. Each list is different. Mac the Knife is number 3, of course. Look, Uptown Funk, How Do I Live? Party Rock.
Uptown Funk. Really, dude? Because like it says, you know, that song was stripped from somebody who was black. That's where that music and stuff came up from.
Wait,
you know,
Physical, number 10. Physical, number 10. Okay, Physical. Here we go. You Light Up My Life by Debbie Boone. That was a popular song, but damn.
That list is making me nauseous. It's making me sick, all right? So,
it's higher than Beatles' Hey Jude. Oh my God. Tony Braxton, 15? We Belong Together, married. What? What? With an H in front? Yeah? Betty Davis Eyes. I remember in the 80s. That was a popular song. Endless Love, 18? Oh my God. Let me see. The further down, let's see what kind of sacrilege. Boys to Men. Summer Place. The Theme. Le Freak. Damn. We Found Love. Low Rider? What? Anyway. I was trying to get to the 100 list. This is a list. It's the top40weekly.com's 100 of all time. So everybody has their own independent list, but Billboard's supposed to be a credible source. They have their own ranking system. So I used to really enjoy the name of the publisher used to be shit. The company no longer exists. Used to be a magazine, music magazine. There were certain music magazines.
Talking about The Source?
The Source, exactly. The Source was one of them. Complex was another. Vibe, when they first came out, was a good source. Those three were really the
and Jet Magazine.
Oh well, that was classic, but they didn't do it justice for hip hop and R&B.
Well, that's when The Source came on after that. But with the Jet Magazine, you had Ebony Jet Magazine, and Jet was a little book, you know, that it had, you know, all the top 10 and all that kind of stuff. It had the centerfold, the black and the, you know, black models and stuff like that inside of there.
Uh-huh.
Those were the good old days.
Very much so.
You know, back then you also had Soul Train to go along with all that.
I don't know why this is different. Let me see. This is the top 100 numbers or number ones. Anyway, let me go back out of this. Because this is the pop-up world. Every time you put your mouse on something, it goes in somewhere else. But I found it quite interesting how certain things, but the framework that you mentioned, how it looked exactly. You had the top 5 are white, and the following 5 more are black. I'm like, wow. I wouldn't look at it this way, but
somebody never told them that black people took over the music industry many years ago. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. We took over that bad boy, you know, for Frank Sinatra and all that boys many moons ago, you know?
You got people still trying to hold on to that.
Well, they're going to always try to hold on to it.
Mm-hmm. That's why the Rat Pack still functions.
You want me to tell you something that's really popular in Japan right now, and for many years before?
What?
Rap music. They love that rap music, boy. They love that stuff. It
Oh, I
does,
know.
yeah.
There's
They
the
go bananas in the club.
biggest club in Japan is called Harlem. Biggest club in Japan, in Nagasaki.
They love that rap
It's
music.
4 stories tall. It is huge. I've never been, but I've saw quite a few specials on hip hop in the
Yeah,
Orient, hip hop and Asia,
they
hip hop
love it over there.
conversations.
They worship black people over there. They worship them. They think that all black people are like rappers or a celebrity basketball player or something.
Uh-huh. I mean, they emulate the look. They
Hmm.
with the dreadlocks and stuff like that, and the skin coloring.
I know, because I have friends who are international. When you see me on Facebook here and there, I got friends around the world. You know what I'm saying? So it gives me a good way in checking the temperature of what's going on in different countries.
Mm-hmm. I tell you what, though, it's when I saw that, the first thing I kept thinking about, I was like, oh my god. I said the bullshit that people put on here, it's amazing. Billboard Pro. Anytime it says Billboard Pro, it's somebody got to pay for it. Why Janet Jackson outranks Michael Jackson amongst the top 100 artists of all time? Who the hell would you? Why would someone even attempt to do that?
Yo, I told you that whole list make me nauseated. Why is this even a discussion? I thought we should have surpassed this a little while ago. Because like I said, the whole damn list was, one sided, it was lopsided.
It's just so sad. Um,
And take it from a music aficionado. As a matter of fact, let's talk about something on a positive tip. There's another show coming to the Hard Rock February 20th. The tickets are going right now over Ticketmaster for like $75. You want to have Stephanie Mills, you want to have the Whispers, you want to have Howard Hewitts, and you want to have the Stylistics all coming to the Hard Rock February 20th. The tickets are going fast. I know, I copped 2 of them. So
who was that again? Earth, Wind, and Fire?
No. They're a different casino. Okay,
No,
Hard Rock.
they're Hard Rock. I hear my wife all the time.
Yeah, Hard Rock, the Mark Edis Arena, February 20th. The tickets right now I know if you go to any other website other than Ticketmaster, it's going to be higher. I shopped around, so it's $75 for the tickets. And afterward, the box office fee, it's going to be $100 for the tickets. So you have Stephanie Mills, who's a classic, who played on Broadway in The Wiz many years ago. She has a golden voice. You have Howard Hewitt, who's really good. You also have the Whispers and the Stylistics. So it's gonna be a really good night of entertainment.
It sounds good. I just saw a lineup. Have you ever heard of this thing called Smoking Grooves? You remember that concert?
Smoking Grooves?
Mm-hmm.
No, it doesn't ring a bell.
No.
No.
Smoking Grooves was a festival that came from the House of Blues, right?
I remember the House of Blues.
Right. Well, they're the parent company of the Smoking Grooves. Smoking Grooves was a concert series that was phenomenal. I went to 3. I think it's 3 or 2. Here in Camden at the waterfront. I'm gonna show you the lineup of Smoking Grooves. We're talking about concert. Like the Mark Edis Arena, you're gonna have a good time there because you'll be able to chill and go back, some old school music discussions, and stuff. It's good flashbacks. Mm-hmm. So that's cool. But check this. This is Smoking Grooves. This is March 19th in Fresno, right? I'm waiting for it to come over this side. But Erykah Badu, Nas, The Roots, Miguel, India Ari, Macy Gray, Angie Stone, Leela James, Music Soul Child, Roy Ayers, Dead Prez, Slum Village, um, Joa Pell, she's another artist, Bilal. All of these people, one concert, all of these people. The
I see
music,
some of those people in person, including like War. That's a good group also.
yeah,
That's a good group on my, Angie Stone. I love her voice in the Ari. Another good one.
yeah,
Roy Ayers. So a lot of those people have really good music, no doubt.
yeah. So when you were talking about that, I was like,
I
I
saw
know.
Penn's Landing. I saw Angie Stone at Penn's Landing. Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
The best kind of concert, my brother, is the free ones that you could get to go to.
Absolutely, without
I
question.
found a lot of them at the waterfront.
Yeah, without question.
On the
Um,
waterfront and Penn's Landing.
yeah, I've been to the one in Camden. I haven't
Yeah.
been to any free concerts, but some that are manageable. I think the most I paid to go into a major concert may have been about $80 a ticket. I think I may have no, I'm mistaken. Last time I paid at a high level was for one of these smoking group tickets, and I think I paid $45 for the ticket. That was the most I paid to go to a concert. Um, my wife may have paid more for other concerts here and there, but we were getting a hookup to see this one. But we were talking about concerts the other day. Me and my boy were talking about this the other day, how there's a lack of concerts nowadays because the last concert that everybody was talking about was Rolling Loud. It's a hip hop concert that took place in New York City. A lot of
Yeah.
young hip hop artists and some R&B singers, and it reminds me of Fresh Fest from back in the day. It was one of those type of caliber festivals, so it was a pretty successful, but it was expensive. And then this is on the heels of um, the festival with the tragedy that took place in Texas.
Okay.
Remember the one with the festival grounds where everyone passed out and died? Yeah. So we were just talking about how um, festivals were a good thing to go through. And I was trying to tell my son, I said, if you want to go to a concert, if you can get an opportunity, go to a concert, go to a festival grounds concert because you'll see more music, you get the full experience, you get to enjoy yourself, people, the culture sometimes, and then if you get one that's has some variety to it, then you'll really get to enjoy it. So um, maybe this is on the wish list. Let me see if I can get a connect out there to get some tickets. Um, I'm waiting for some of those concerts to come here. One of the things I said about the local concerts here, we don't have a lot of variety coming to the gaming houses here in Lang City. There's not a lot of variety.
Nah.
And sometimes it's because we don't pay money. We don't pay the money that's necessary.
Majority of times they advertise outside of this area.
Yeah, exactly.
We do a
But
lot of advertising on for WDS.
yep.
And just ironically, I heard the Power 99 was advertising on WDS. I'm like, it was Power 99 advertising on DS,
I think they're both iHeart.
Itself.
I think they're both iHeart associated.
Yeah, they are iHeart.
Yep.
Yeah, both of them, yeah.
Yep. So they support one another. But one of the companies like Live Nation, you can register with them and they'll send you an update. Matter of fact, what was the name of the used to be a ticket website? I forget which one it is. There's a ticket website, and you can put a watchdog reservation, and any concert that happens in your area, they'll send you the listing of it 2 months in advance.
Yeah, I think that may have been the Live Nation that you mentioned because I remember at one time it was sending me information about all of the upcoming concerts.
Even small venues like bars and stuff like that,
Mhm.
anything that came up. And it would, I mean, really, it lets you know about a whole bunch of stuff, things that you wouldn't think about. Like
They might go back to that concept considering with COVID and the whole 9 yards,
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of these places now are saying if you want to come to the concert, you have to show proof of vaccination.
Yeah.
And that's what they're doing now also.
Which I don't blame them.
You can't.
It's not a bad thing. You walking in some place, you have to flash your ID. Shit, there you go.
Exactly.
ID on one side, flip over the vaccine card.
Exactly.
Not a problem. Shit, it's nothing. Because
You
you
know,
want to
they
enjoy
should
yourself.
have. I think that the vaccine passport and stuff is going to go digital eventually. Whereas you have a little, have it on your phone and just flash it, barcode, and they just scan it. But then people could actually duplicate that stuff also
Yeah,
by hacking it.
yeah. Um, there's a big discussion taking place in professional sports right now. This guy named what's his name? Brown, not Orlando Brown. I think Orlando Brown. Um, a lot of controversy with that young brother. Apparently, he confessed to someone that he had gotten a duplicate or a false document saying he was vaccinated when he wasn't, and he got suspended from his. I think he plays for Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Lando Jones, I think that's his name. But that's the discussion. How some people, the access of a document like that, usually it's a paper document. That's sad in there. It's a paper document, and even though there's a registry, CDC and the United States has a registry of those that have gone through it. When people don't uh, do the due diligence to ensure that the documents being shown is actual, you got people all over the place doing all kinds of shit. Because if they can sell
Yeah,
identification, they can give you fake credit cards and fake this and fake that. Vaccine card would be easy as hell to just duplicate.
exactly, exactly.
But
Unless they make it, and I think they're in the process of making that a federal crime if they haven't already done so.
oh yeah, I can
But I
imagine.
know this one lady did that in Ohio, and they nailed her to they nailed her to the cross.
Yeah, I mean I can imagine because when you're, I mean that's the highest level of fraud if you're trying
Yeah,
to your fictitious papers about your health status. That's terrible, man. Who the hell would put? Who would allow that thinking though? Just because you're trying to get out of a loophole, you can possibly put somebody else's life in jeopardy. That's terrible.
yeah, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Mhm. Terrible situation. But that you see, a lot more people are being addressed. Like more and more people are starting to confess or getting caught about fictitious vaccinations, and I think that's why there's a big concern, and it's mobilizing in the court systems about the mandates. The people are just so upset about being mandated to be vaccinated, mandated to have this and that and everything. It's just that we're a nation that are comfortable with being comfortable. We our liberties are what we're talking about. We really we benefit from so much from our forefathers that we've gotten so comfortable that the smallest inclination of it changing, we're running scamper, we're running like crazy, complaining about our liberties being taken when we have other nations on this present planet right now who can truly define what taking your liberties are. This shit right now is nothing. It's just a small inconvenience.
Yeah, but come on, Mo, let's be for real. Do you really think freedom is free?
Hell no, there's a cost to everything.
Okay, and that's it right in a nutshell. People start complaining about, hey, they're trying to take my, mandate. Freedom isn't free, and if you think that, you're dumb. Freedom comes with a price.
Hell yeah, and a consequence. Yeah.
Exactly. Your
Mm-hmm.
freedom ain't free. I mean, if you think, it's like, go ahead and try to yell fire inside of a movie theater and let me know what's going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
That's a perfect example of the law right there. It will take control of you,
Right.
and it will take away your freedom, and you'll be the dumbass in jail.
Right. Exactly. Alan, look, the names pop back up. See it?
Yeah.
Our names pop back up.
Like I said, it may have been a glitch.
Yeah. But that's the ongoing discussion. People concerned about what is. Oh, okay. Somebody on YouTube, Gloria Miller. Let's share this. Says COVID-19 vaccine has approximately 100 times more reports of death per year than average reports of all the vaccines combined. Okay, that's a discussion. Unless we put medical freedom into the Constitution, the time will come when medicine will organize into an undercover dictatorship. Gloria Miller. Thank you, Gloria Miller, for sharing that. We have concerns that somewhat are similar, but it's not a fear yet because when it comes to America and the way processes it, anything can happen in America, giving enough energy and enough resources behind it. But we will see. I didn't see that coming in. I had closed out YouTube. But thank you for your comment, Gloria. Um, Oh, that was 11:58. That was a little earlier. Um, but the documentation and the paperwork that seems to be happening, I think it's going to be moving soon to the digitation, because now it's just a paper. You sign it, somebody sign in the whole night.
And
I
Japan will have the digital form of all of that, so
Yeah.
it's going to get here. It's just a matter of time.
Yep, I think you're going to see the holograms that you have on identification, the super IDs, and so on.
Exactly.
So I think all that's going to be integrated. It's just how to do so it's accessible to all agencies that require identification. Like,
I think that the Consumer Electronics show is in this coming January, so a lot of that stuff is going to appear at this particular show. The technology.
You registered to go, right, in Vegas?
No, not this time.
No. Okay.
No.
Let's see. Yes.
Probably next year.
Okay. Isn't it CES Vegas, and then 2 weeks later Chicago has something similar? Isn't that how it goes?
I believe I know the Vegas is coming up in January. Then there's another one after that. Somewhere in the United States. I'm not sure if it's Chicago though. Because some of these guys, from overseas like China and stuff, and they have another electronic show over there in the early part of the year.
The reason I'm asking this is I know my intent was to go to a few more functions in Chicago. Chicago, their convention center is another big one.
I've been there. Yeah, I was also a member of the NSGA.
Okay.
The National Sporting Goods Association.
Okay.
So that's where all of the athletes to get their gears and the whole 9 yards.
Licensing, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's where they go to NSGA.
Yeah.
I was a member of those guys also.
Well, that's one of the destinations.
Organization, huh?
Right. That's one of the conferences that I want to go to. The other one is the National Concessions Conference.
I think the next one I'll probably attend in Vegas is the National Broadcasters Convention. So since I'm into radio and stuff, I'll be able to access to get into those now.
Right. Well, and I'm gonna try to get us some credentials to go into a lot of these things, because we are media, so we'll make sure that we'll have access to it. But the broadcasted one could be fun.
Yeah, it will be. I know. Yeah, I know it will be. Now I have my buddies and my family over there. I have one of my partners. I probably gonna have him. I would normally have them check it out and send me back the stuff. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I don't need to catch a flight. It's called the network.
Yeah.
So the network works.
Exactly. That's what I was saying before to someone before. So sometimes it's just good to, if you know where the conference is and people work in the conference, it doesn't take much to get the booklet ahead of time.
Yeah. Not only that, I remember some time ago someone sent me an invitation to check this out, to the Grammys, and I received that in my email. But I had to work. There's no possibility where I would have been able. But since you're in the music industry and stuff, in the radio, now you'll be able to have access to a lot of these things.
Yeah, it's cool, man. If you can get into them and really see how it is, even though it's just pomp and promenade. That's yeah, it's just people showing off type deal. I'm like, okay, cool. But you get to see some of the people that you admire.
Just like what is it, the NAACP when they have the Image Award, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, that's a big one now. Yeah, the Image Award and the People's Choice Awards, those awards, and it's so
weird. I belong to some of these organizations.
Yeah.
I was talking to this guy this week. I'm like, yeah, he says, do you belong to the NSG? No, to the CS. I said, yeah, but not too many people, that go to the CS end up with a jacket, from the CS that says Las Vegas. I says, I have it right here because it was so freaking cold. I left my coat in New Jersey, and it was freaking snowing in Vegas. And
speaking of that crazy stuff, there is a threat of a snowstorm in Hawaii. There is reports saying the European model, or the report saying that December 10th and 11th, that the temperatures and humidity and pressure coming up, that Hawaiians will be seeing snow on those days. A blizzard on the highest parts of the mountains off of Oahu and the main island.
Happen, yeah.
And they said they haven't seen snow like that in a couple decades. Not to say it's never happened, but in decades, because we're seeing some weather now anomaly. We should see a rush of weather coming up really soon in the next 7 days. That's temperature changes. It's crazy how.
Yeah, it will.
If you've been paying attention, how I'm looking for snow. Right? I'm paying attention to snow. As far as temperature, I can deal with temperature differences. It's the snow that impedes on travel. That's what really, gets in my way sometimes. And there's this one YouTuber. His name is Ryan Hall, and he goes by Ryan Hall Y'all. He does a really good job. He's a weather specialist that he's worked in different media sources here and there, and now he does it on his own. He does a really good job of elaborating on weather, and he's one of my sources that I talk about when it comes to weather. But we should be expecting some extraordinary weather. It'll be warm as hell on one day, and the very next day we'll see spikes in temperature.
Yeah, 20 shift or so.
Yep. And we're going to see an influx of rain, heavy duty rain, for about 2 to 3 days, to the point where it could be problematic. Because remember the last time we've had some major rain in New Jersey, you saw bridges give out, you saw water slides up North Jersey, some areas get consumed. It's the type of rain, the levels of water. And then he's saying within about 3 to 4 days after that, we're going to see some really dangerous spiking temperature down to, he says, into nearly sub-zero temperatures. I said, wow, the way he was looking at it, because he measures it between the American survey and then the European survey. And it's pretty cool as hell, all of his graphics, the digital graphics, satellite uses and stuff. So he'll give you the barometric pressure, he'll give you the rainfall, the suspected rainfall that's going to possibly come down, the wind, the amount of wind. He does a really good, thorough job of giving you all this information. So if you ever get a chance, if you're interested, it's called Ryan Hall Y'all on YouTube, and he does a really good job. But I look at it, and I was trying to say how Christmas may be white this year. But where things are going, there is 2 blizzards that are developing on the border of Canada and America, and it depends on the jet stream how it's going. It may just skip us all the way around down in South Jersey, and it might just hit the northern part of the East Coast. And it's going to be disgusting how much snow is going to hit Vermont, Connecticut, and upper state New York.
Well, you can't have Christmas if you're not dashing through the snow, right?
Can't say that to the retailers.
And a lot of people, like it says, I'll be home for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are going to be home for Christmas this year also, so and you go dashing through the snow.
Shit. If you look at this weather report that he was talking about, there's places in Oklahoma that are going to see 70-degree temperature late in December. 70 degrees in Oklahoma.
Okay, speaking about Oklahoma, did you hear? I was watching a documentary about some stuff that happened in Oklahoma many years ago. I may have mentioned that to you with the Indians that it covered up.
The Osage. Yep.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was watching a documentary on that.
It was disgusting. At the time you hit me up about it, I had already watched it. I was watching as I go along, because I was just looking at it, and I'm going back and forth because there's certain names that were highlighted. It's really disgusting how more and more information comes about how atrocious the Americans or white Americans have perpetuated so much hate.
They said those Indians were rich, man. They were very rich. They had luxury cars, the whole 9 yards.
Saw that stuff. You saw the guy had planes.
Yeah,
one family had
private plane, the whole 9 yards.
Or anybody else had planes.
And once again, the Americans, they destroyed them just like they did, in Oklahoma with the black people over there. Same thing. They were very wealthy people, very well taken care of, and they crushed all of that in Oklahoma.
And again, this is an example. They were legally making money. They were legal.
Yeah.
Because of the laws that were created with not them intended. Yeah. Those laws perpetuated them an opportunity for them to make money, and they did because of the oil reserves.
Yeah, and the black people did it with the Greenwood, the whole 9 yards.
Yeah. And because of hatred and bitterness and all that stuff, they constitute, for those of you that may have not watched it, they constituted this whole concept where they didn't believe that the natives at that time, Native Americans, indigenous people, were responsible enough to maintain their money. So they assigned people that they chose to manage their money for them. And they found quite a few incidences where these people who were assigned, these were white people assigned to manage these natives, their funds, end up killing these people these Native Americans, because they have already had the rights to the use of and or manage for these individuals. So he had rights to the funds. And this one person that they talked about had killed not only the father, that who was a friend of the family, he was a friend of the family, killed the father and daughter. It's horrendous. But more and more of those cases came about, the more it's just clear that America was built more off the blood of people of color,
of course,
than America would like to admit to. And so much wealth has been
when it came to the history books in high school and stuff, they never even scratched the surface of the things that went down in this country. They never scratched the surface, not at all.
Nope.
Because all of these things are coming out today. Yep. And then it was totally flabbergasted when having your mouth totally, open. Yeah. Like you can't believe it that these people have done such, atrocities to, black people and Native American Indians.
Yep. And it's so disgusting, sad. But I actually saw something shortly after that tapped onto it. Like a lot of the individuals that were in the Osage nations and the adjoining nations in the area came from the Great Mexican Peninsula. And what they were is they were established people of color, Africans that were here in Mexico, who were part of the nation. Like Mexico had already 2 black presidents before America even thought of allowing freedom to Africans. And they were part of the whole concept because when the Civil War had taken place in America, Mexico had a declaration that says any Africans that came into Mexico were not to be returned back to America, and as they crossed the threshold, became free men in Mexico, naturalized free men that never have to worry about it. And Africans in Mexico live a better life than they would here in America. And I found that quite interesting. But they talked about the history, how some natives who were intermingled with Africans who were part of those nations, it was a chain during the Aztlan, the days when Mexico owned part of America that was called Aztlan. The ownership of Aztlan and the intermingling of the different nations here and there, he had so many people of color that varied from or origins from other places that intermingled because the nations were welcoming. And a lot of the individuals in the Osage who benefited also, they were people of African descent that benefited from that whole situation with the oil. Some of it had to do with not because of ancestry or for heritage, but doing a service that was so widely needed that they became wealthy because of the service that were widely needed. Like mining the land or doing something had to do with agriculture also, some weird stuff.
Yeah, but the thing about it, because they had the white people working for them, and they were the servants. The whole script was backwards, and they just couldn't stand it.
Yep. Do you see when they were talking about how they were known to treat the workers really well? The natives were known to treat their people very, very well, which angered a lot of the white business owners, like created even more hatred for jealousy because they treated people so well.
And the strange thing about that also, because I may have mentioned this in the past, the Buffalo Soldiers, that was something else also, because remember the Buffalo Soldiers and Sitting Bull and those guys, the Buffalo Soldiers were the ones who actually kept the peace between the white man and the Indians.
Yep. African American troop. Yep.
Yeah. And I will label them the first set of state troopers around, to tell you the truth, was the Buffalo Soldiers. They're the one that kept the peace.
Well, we talking about history, Western history here in America. Cowboys were Africans.
Yeah,
Africans here in America were actually cowboys, and it's just logical. They were the actual men that worked the cattle. They knew how to work the cattle, so they were the cowboys. Who they ended up being the ones that were hunting others. They became the
Lone Ranger was the number one also, because remember, the Indians and the black people were tight. So they actually said, well, we can't have a TV show where we have a white, a black man, obviously, with an Indian.
Right.
No way. So they decided to replace the black guy with a white guy and an Indian.
Right.
And the Indian will always play second fiddle. But the Lone Ranger was a perfect example of that show. Even back then, I saw some. It wasn't a commercial or anything, but Bugs Bunny back in the day was even racist.
Oh, all those
Yeah,
cartoons.
all those
Even
cartoons, yeah, they were racist as hell.
even Walt Disney. Walt
Yeah,
Disney when it came what is it called? Steamboat Pete or Steamboat, whatever, I forget what it is. It was racist and deeply racist.
yeah.
That whole concept of cartoons and stuff like
Walt
that.
Disney, yeah.
I mean,
Well, back in the
anybody,
day, you had Bugs Bunny calling, someone who's Japanese a Jap. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
the
they,
mockery, yeah, the
yeah,
mockery, the looks. I mean, we already saw it with it comes from slaves and Africans or black people when they use blackface and the white lips and
correct. Yeah,
everyone's a buffoon and would speak a certain type of way, had this dumb look on their face. Asians were treated the same way with the
yeah.
slanted eyes. They had a certain look all the time. They walked around, seemed to be servants. It's always that. I guess the bleaching of history has always left a mark of a derogatory mark on others that were here in America also.
You see, they try to hide that stuff for so long, but when it comes out into the open, it just makes people more pissed.
Hmm.
That's all it really does. When you suppress the truth, and when people finally knows the truth, it only pisses people off. That's what it does, and it has.
I guess this is why there's so much emphasis against the CRT movement, critical race theory, around the movement because these are elements of discussion, critical race issues that we've had throughout
Right.
life about oppression and hatred,
It's facing the
white
facts.
supremacy. Yeah, exactly. Yep.
You come
So,
full circle facing the facts.
hmm
But you're going to have to face the facts because it is what it is. You can no longer keep hiding it. You have to let it be.
recently, I just found out that Florida had the most free black slaves in America at the time of the turn of the century. The most amount of free black slaves, like they people who ran away or bought themselves into freedom or was granted freedom, they lived in Florida. A majority of them. Um, Also, the discussion recently about how the Florida governor wants to institute his own justice system by having his own police force, not state police, but it's a whole nother layer
He's
of
on that Trump level, man. I'm telling you, he's on a Trump bandwagon.
yeah. But all this stuff instigated based off of race, because some of it has to do with the impetus of all these Latinos that are coming in from other nations that have chosen Florida as their home base. Now, at one point in time, Cuba used to have 1.5 million Cubans there. Now, Puerto Ricans coming from Puerto Rico not long ago. Now they're at 1.19, so they're close to the population. So there's that many Puerto Ricans, those Cubans. Not even to mention all of the Haitians and Hondurans and Peruvians, all of that. So that southern tip of Florida seems to be the thorn in the side of the old way of thinking of Cocoa Beach and those entitled white folks from Florida right now. They're very nervous.
Well, not only that, but here goes something, a tad bit of news. Stacey Abrams.
Running for governor. Yep,
Yes, indeed.
yep,
She
yep.
decided to throw her hand in there. She's like, I'm going to go for it again.
Yeah, I knew
She's
that
like,
was.
the first time around they stole it from me. She's like, I'm going to give it another shot. And I
Yeah,
believe she's going to get it too.
I was expecting. I was expecting that. Let's just
Yeah,
hope
me
that.
too.
Yeah, it's just with the machine, the Democratic machine. There's certain ones like she's worked very hard from the level that she has, using
Yeah,
the
yeah.
attention that she had got to try to make things a little better in all over the nation. So obviously, it makes sense to help the national party should be helping her um, to be able to get into position because it's necessary to help wipe away those restrictions in Georgia. Georgia is still probably one of the
Yeah,
racially motivated
yeah.
states in America, and you need to be able to get at the level of the governor to be able to retract and or change these systems to make it more
I've
just.
always said that. I've always said that. A lot of people put, and then the midterms is getting ready to come up.
Hmm. Yeah, this is one of the most dangerous time frames. So I saw that coming, and I applaud her.
Yeah.
Stacey Abrams, she's a powerhouse now. Whether she'll have enough to take
I
it,
think, I
really,
think she's going to have enough to, she's put a lot of work in, and I believe, a lot of people are going to come to throw that money into that pot with her, and it's going to really push her over the top.
I
There's no
think that
doubt about it. Because remember, Tyler Perry Studios are located in Georgia.
yeah, But that ain't
And
gonna.
one of the largest studios around now.
Yeah, but that ain't gonna play too much of a role. Tyler
Well,
Perry.
the thing about it is, Oprah and all of these guys, they're all going to back her. They already said so. So she's going to have some heavy backers. And that's what you need because, like I mentioned before, politics and a lot of celebrity status goes a long freaking way. And the reason why I'm saying that because Jay-Z actually, when he was accepting the award recently,
He
he
mentioned
said he
it.
received a call from Obama. And Obama's like, yo, I need you to go to these particular states. And that's what he did to help him out.
But here's the factor that we have to always consider. These are black people being called upon by the National Party to help promote white people up into a higher ranks. In this situation, it's a black woman being supported to become governor. She's helped enable a lot of Democrats to be able to get in higher ranks. Some of them she wasn't able because Georgia is the levels or the numbers as far as Georgia makes it the black community, people of color, aren't as an advantage as it is in the east, up in the northeast. So celebrityism might turn people away because that's what they don't like down there. Conservatives down there always talking about how these super liberal celebrities come down here to do this. So it may not leverage her a win. It's her dedicated view on the law and a dedicated view on what's right for people. I think that will push her.
Every little bit helps.
Yeah,
That's just what I say. Every little bit helps. Coming from either,
yeah,
because the Democrats, they you tell me when the Democratic Party have actually pushed a black woman to become governor.
yeah.
Like never. Okay, like never.
But
And the majority of them that they actually support is predominantly a lot of white men that actually become governor. But the real power, is not a lot of people look at the presidency, but you have to look at the states. That's where the real power is.
yeah,
And the governorship is where I've preached that, here. I've gone on radio and I've preached the same thing. The governorship. People take the eye going off the presidency. Oh, we have the first black president and the female black. No, the state is what really freaking matters because that's where you live.
there's no question that that's going to be and that's why I say that's going to come with a lot of fight because we're talking about millions of individuals that live in Georgia, and to assume ahead of time may be a little too easy because that's what we assumed.
Look,
We
anything
assumed
that's
before
worth
in Georgia, and we assumed in Florida.
well, anything that's worth having is worth fighting for and working for.
Indeed,
And they're willing to put in the fight and they're willing to put in the work. So those
indeed,
are two criteria that I believe that they're going to be successful at. Put in both of them. You got to
indeed.
put everything in the pot and go for it.
I think what she's done out of office, away from running for office, may have given her enough credibility with others in the decisive role. Because we talking about average folks, backstreet. I mean, poor white folks that be voting, and they're conservatives. They have a lot of and Georgia's certain areas are very wealthy. You know what I mean? So when it comes to wealth usually doesn't support democracy. They don't usually Democrats.
Well, remember, they turn that state from red to blue.
It doesn't stop the people and money.
Yeah, well, like it says, Mo, you have to remember, black people got money now too, and and lots of it. And where there's money, there's power.
But not
Trust
all
me,
black
that.
people. But not all black people vote Democrat. Not all black people vote
You-
black people.
But
It's
the
you see
interesting thing
that in
about it,
Virginia. You see that in California. You
okay,
see that in New York. You saw that here in Jersey.
but
You see that all over the
but
place.
look at the states that actually flipped. Look at the state that actually flipped, and that's the reason why Trump was so pissed off because
Oh,
they took a lot of those states from red to freaking blue, and he couldn't
some
stand
Senate,
it.
some senates and
You
assembly,
know, and
but
even in Arizona, they were still trying to debate, Biden winning and having a freaking bogus recount.
Arizona is one of those type of nations. I mean,
You know,
that's a state that's antiquated. I swear, if they can
but
put
but it still counts.
oh,
It's
there's no
antiquated, but it
question.
still counts.
There's no
At the
question.
end of
It's
the
just
day,
it's
but
just
but it was important to win the election to get Trump to hell up out of there because he was nothing but the American experiment. That's all he really was.
it was a national task for us to take him out. It was a national task. But
Michigan,
if you want to,
Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, he still can't get over this shit because he's still preaching that shit.
but you have certain areas like Pennsylvania, like Ohio, like Georgia, like Oklahoma, like Idaho, that are extremely Republican leaning.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it. But then when they
That-
come back, but you have certain areas also that's predominantly black too. Like Philadelphia is a nice one, a perfect example there.
yeah, and
You
area,
know,
very much on area. Yep, and it's there. But those high, really depends on the districting. Remember, every election, shortly after every election, there's a congressional redistricting process.
yeah.
It
Well,
just
everybody
happened.
do they do that gerrymandering shit too. You remember that?
That's the process. It just happened again the week of when the League of Municipalities was here. What's that? 2 weeks ago? 3 weeks ago? That
About
week
2
is
weeks ago.
when we have congressional redistricting here in the state of New Jersey. That sometimes plays a big role into it because in a congressional district, you bunch people, and then depending on the majority of it, it can actually push for certain voting restrictions, voting privileges. A lot of things happen because it's self-managed. Counties are managed by the county officials, so on and so forth, because so they have weight into it. So it's a strategic chess game. And at the national level, in certain areas that we think naturally we have it, like I'm gonna use Barack's situation. One of the things that led Barack into victory was him appeasing to the liberal white community. He already assumed that because he was a black person, he was going to get voted on by black people. The National Black Press Corps made a big complaint that his campaign was not spending money in urban communities. The science behind that by his chief campaign officer, the person who's on the MSNBC Center, he said because the assumption was that minorities or people of color were going to naturally vote for him anyway. And this is what the opinion of his campaign was. They didn't spend in the black market, in the black media market. So if we're talking about morally thinking, voting wise, it could be one thing. But if we're talking about the mechanisms or strategies of voting in politics, it could be a whole nother. Conservatism, sometimes when they talk about people of money, Michael Jordan is Republican. A lot of these basketball players that are retired multimillionaire are Republican. They won't show you, they won't tell you. They are Republican. They vote Republican to protect their money. But you'll have some liberals that play big like they're this way and that way to be independent. But behind those doors, they vote Republican. Jay-Z is not a Democrat. Jay-Z was registered as an independent not long ago. He's never been a Democrat. Matter of fact, he didn't even vote until he was what? A million already, according to last reports and some that I read in Rolling Stone. When Vote to Die came about with P. Diddy, that when he was pushing that whole concept, vote or die, P. Diddy himself was never a Democrat. When he went and pushed that whole concept, he had to register to become a Democrat for them. And finally, we have a major portion of the world in our society that we assume that naturally because they look like us, they're going to vote for us. And that's not the truth. We see it often. Some of us.
Well, the thing about it is a lot of people, remember going all the way back before a lot of people before the great switch in America, predominantly all black people back then was Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became the great switch because they believed that the Democratic Party was going to do much good for the black people. And over the years, they've lost their favor. Mm-hmm. They've lost a lot of stuff. So that's the reason why Jay-Z and many other people, they're not going to tell you how they're going to vote, obviously, because that's a personal opinion. They'll vote whatever interests them. And that's what it actually boils down to. Their interest. How well can you serve my community or serve me and mine? That's what it really boils down to. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, I've had my family members also, they're like, Adrian, I'm not going to vote Republican or Democrat. And some of these people say, I'm not even going to vote at all. So that's at the time when the Republicans actually, it plays into their favor. Because, it's like, okay, this person is not going to vote, Democrats, so they're not going to vote entirely. And it says the weather has a lot to do with it because a lot of black people don't like to go out in the rain and vote. That was another thing that, another myth that they spoke about. When the weather is real bad, no, black people are not going to go out and vote. You know what I'm saying? And that's when they believe that a lot of Republicans were actually taking charge again, once again.
But that also shows how, although we've developed as a nation, We've devolved as a body of people. Because in the very beginning, when we first giving the opportunity of voting, no rain could ever stop us from voting. We were going beat up, bleeding, still to vote, getting shot at, still going to vote. So now, in our age, now in our complacency and our entitlements, we think we're too good, and God forbid rain falls upon us that we won't vote. And those are one of the truths that we have as far as this concern.
But then you remember the Republicans also went back and changed the game also by Trump
Right.
moving out taking out a lot of mailboxes in certain areas,
Oh,
slowing down the mail was something else also.
the
And
Republican.
not to mention, you cannot have any food or drinks while standing in line, so nobody can serve your pizza with
But
water to go
right.
along with it.
Yes, we have a lot of idiotic changes that took place from that last campaign. But we have idiotic changes in every campaign. The problem is we don't stand as a body of people to defend and retract and to realign things in a better way when we need to. We have a body who has a Democratic president, majority Democratic Assembly, and Senate, House of Representatives. We haven't motivated a lot, except, well, now I can't say that because the bills that we've motivated, they've been the largest ever and the most expansive. So there's a lot of success in there. Where I'm hoping to continue that. But before that, every time we had a chance, when Barack was in and we had all Democrats, he didn't get shit done. We were so busy building and mending fences with people who didn't deserve us mending fences that we lost the motivation to actually affect change where we needed it. And I think, and I've always said this, ask a person what's the difference between a Republican and a Democrat, and they'll tell you the same thing. But if you don't know what a Republican is versus a Democrat, you'll always get it wrong.
So tell us what's the difference in your opinion.
Well, I'm researching Republicans and Democrats. Republicans have to do with the system, less litigation, less people oversight,
Governmental control.
less oversight, less regulation, giving the people more chances to manage themselves. So Republicans are less regulation and more about business, which is capitalism. Democrats are supposed to be about more regulation to enable more people to be involved. So that's all the modern day Republican versus Democrat. Now let's turn it back. Republicans initially were who were freed, or actually were the impetus to help mobilize the Emancipation Proclamation. Republicans used it as a strategy of war, not to free people, but it was a strategy of war. Like here in Atlantic City, black man had to become Republican for him to get the potential to be a leader. There was a big switch. Even still, they're still switching now. When you see a large capacity of individuals who are Democrats, you have people who are staunch Republicans will flip over to be a Democrat because that's all it takes is you signing a paper. Doesn't mean you have to draw blood and prove it. And then they switch. So that's why it's really important for people to know the difference instead of carrying the same ideologies that you think exist, because you'll run into examples where those don't apply. I've run into some pretty good Republicans, pretty good, really kind-hearted individuals. But what makes them Republican, obviously, is what differentiates their views from my views. So, we don't see always the same thing, but I've seen some really good people. Then I've run into some really staunch assholes who don't care about me, my color, my people, nothing, who are Democrats and celebrated as Democrats. And that's why I said there is a confusion, a national confusion that we have about party politics. So I try not to play with the party politics nonsense because at the end, we're going to lose either which way as the people of color. So I think we need to step away from the party politics and start developing our own needs and our own agendas to get further in America, to develop our own understandings and our own mechanisms away from the party politics. because the party politics always enables a certain grouping of individuals to stay in power and stay super wealthy. And it's not the people you see in front of a
Nothing
camera.
but gangs, man. In my own word, it's nothing but gangsterism. It's
Yeah, of
gang-
course.
That's all. That's all. it
America,
boils
in
down to.
essence, America perpetuates itself over and over again. Whether it's Bloods versus Crips, cops versus robbers, this team versus that team, Democrats or Republicans. The American psyche is made to believe that it can't function without a need of a hero and a villain, and someone's
That's it.
always villainizing the other. It's always one another. Is not allowed to think that it can manage with multiple people involved. It's not thought to believe that multiple people can be an asset to a system that's helping many people, not just one or the other.
And that's what makes the entire Pledge of Allegiance in a way null and void in a way, because it's like one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the thing about it is, it doesn't always go that way. It doesn't always. You look at that Rittenhouse situation. It didn't go that way.
No, not at all.
The majority of people say that this guy is a criminal, but then on the flip side, the judge is like, hey, you want to pick your own jury? Sure, not a problem. Your alternates, you can do that. And you give them a little drum and you pick out the people that you want to, it's ridiculousness on a whole different level.
Yeah.
And you see a boy, Chris Cuomo, got suspended based on the situation with his brother, huh?
I was looking at that. I was like, these guys are just. That was the question on Hot 97 and also 105.1 National Radio the next day after all that stuff took place. Do you think that Chris Cuomo made a mistake by helping and support his brother? I mean, which one's his brother? Andrew. Yeah, his brother Andrew. Did Chris Cuomo make a mistake by helping Andrew? And 90% of the people, actually nearly 100% of the people that I've heard, said the same thing. Nah, I would ride for my brother. I'm going to do whatever I can for my brother, and so on and so forth. Well, that shows the American spirit. If you were placed in a situation where you're facing someone accusing you of something, and they're using a process because of family connection, won't you feel there's an injustice?
Well, there's an old saying, family first. And that's what he went by. Especially if you're Italian. Italian, family first. That's how they roll.
Well, I can't even say that because I've seen some people. I've seen a little bit of this and that. Let's just say that. But I'm looking at it from the perspective of overall. Like I have no dog in the race, no pony in the race, right? So no dog in the fight, nothing. I'm looking at it like Chris should have known better than to put himself out there and put his brother's situation out there by doing what he did. He should have been smarter about doing something. He still could have been helpful, but not question ethics or his practice and how he does things. He's a lawyer.
He tried to do good by his brother, but at the end of the day, it just didn't work out.
But that's the concept. Good. He thought he was doing good by doing bad.
Correct. You see, the thing about it is because when he brought his brother on the show to actually, discuss and talk about it, I have two brothers, and if they would have gotten into trouble like that, I would just say, "Look, I'm not my brother's keeper. Whatever happens, happens, and let's keep on going and leave it at that." He would have been much better just doing it that way. But once he actually, pull his brother pull himself into his brother's tornado, it got out of hand. That's exactly what happened.
And people were questioning his habits. Now he has to carry the same burden his brother does because
exactly your reputation been tarnished.
Yeah. And in that situation, you also got to think if his brother Andrew placed in a situation, and if he hypothetically, if he did do these things, he didn't think about his family and anybody else's family that he could have messed up by doing those things. So why would you, as a sane, cognizant, intelligent person, regardless of your blood connection, put your family's lives, way of life, and managing and their status and whatever the situation, why would you jeopardize that because you want to defend your brother's horniness? If he did it.
But at the same token, it's like the guy's the governor. He runs the freaking state. He could have any flipping woman that he could possibly have.
Well, at least he thought that.
Hey, but like it says, if you do things the right way, it will come out the right way, But the fact of the matter, don't use your position to gain power over people. That's what he did that was wrong.
Of course.
He
anytime
used his
you as a
power
man,
to gain leverage over his people. Don't do that.
I like to believe that any man who places force over a woman for his own sexual benefit is wrong. You know, you have these alpha males that think that that's the only way they can do things because women enjoy
Well,
that
that's a
power.
preferred point of view that they have, so there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, that's the power play, the whole
Preferred.
concept that dysfunction thinking that someone needs that. And then there is, in essence, some women that find that attractive, that masculine overpowering concept, they're feeling like this way. It's a thin line. And that's that kind of shit that you don't need to step on when it comes to stuff like that. When it comes to sexual improprieties, um, the world itself knew that Andrew Cuomo was a fucking freak when he's rocking nipple rings underneath a shirt that you can visually see it in front of the national agenda while he's talking in front of a camera about all of COVID-19, takes off his jacket. Someone in his own office should have saw him and could have seen and said, yo, we can see your jewelry, your body jewelry, and probably said it. And he don't think about nothing. And it just doesn't dawn on him that reflects his potential of being someone who likes to be creative or expressive, or he has very few sexual limitations. So all that plays into how you manage and deal with other people. And for him to be sexually overbearing, he got to face it his own. The fact that Chris, who's already faced credibility questions before, because there was some claims about sexual improprieties on his case, he had to defend himself on. And then his stance on the national agenda when race comes in, because he's defended people of color on many occasions, and he looked at by a lot of conservatives as being a sellout per se. Or in the situation against Trump, him and his brother coming at Trump heavy as New Yorkers, and as Italian New Yorkers coming at a guy who says he's Italian at times when he needs to be, wants to act like a mafioso when he wants to be. There's a lot to that framework, and I'm disappointed that he didn't think better. He didn't think more. He didn't really think it through, and he allowed himself to put out there, because I like the personality that he is. I like Chris Coleman. I like the in-depth conversations that he brings to the table, and I like his form of interrogation when he speaks with people, respectful interrogation. But I'm disappointed that he didn't think it through. I think he's intelligent enough that he probably should have thought it through, and he just seems like he didn't.
For every cause, there's an effect, and that's the effect right there.
Yeah,
on that level, on that message right there, it's about past the bewitching hour. That's my bedtime. Laurel, hopefully you'll have fun out there. So I want to wrap this up.
Yeah, indeed. Say your last words to the folks.
I just did. I told you these days I just keep it short and sweet, man. What, did you miss that from last week?
Hey, bro, you look peace. I'm not gonna let you say some encouraging words, telling people how to do this.
At the end of the night, when I start, let's keep it short and sweet, because you don't want to start stumbling over words, and they come to find out later on what you said last night. I know what you did last night.
All right, I hear what you're saying. So let's take it back.
Hear that background music, man. I'm going to hit it from my station. All right.
I got you.
Last week, man. I'm telling you.
I got you. Well, folks, as our co-host so gallantly said, it's time to close out for the third hour. We appreciate anybody who's come on, and we appreciate the time you spent. Hopefully you've learned something from the show, got something to think about moving forward. Please take the opportunity, if you'd like, to go visit the website at www.thenewnorth.club and drop us a line about some of your comments and some of your ideas that you have, even if you have an opposing point and you just want to go any further. Please do it so. Also, go visit the Cyber Mall for some intrinsic information on entrepreneurs and new products that have been presented. Also, information is available. And again, also offer you the opportunity to go visit Adrian's websites for radio. He takes a lot of time. He takes a lot of pride in what he does over there, and he does a good job at it. So, if you want to listen to some good music, go visit those websites through that. Those links will lead you there. In addition to, now that we're stepping from one holiday into the next, very, very cautious about your interactions. These are the times that scams are heavy. phone scams, people scams. I've seen now where people have taped doors together to create a little bit of a scuffle or time frame where someone can come and attack you or take an opportunity to pickpocket you, all these things. 'Tis the season, and that statement can actually affect you in many ways. So be very cautious in your interactions, but don't stop interacting with other people. It's the holidays. Make sure you show love. Give a little bit of distance and be wise in what you do. Hopefully we'll see everybody next week. Next week should be interesting as everything goes on. Make sure you stay safe, stay positive, test negative. And as we move forward, just thank you for coming to the show. And we'll see everybody next week.
Be safe, y'all.